Hello, good evening, and good day, everybody, and welcome to the Ask Abhijit show. This is episode 362. I hope you're all doing great. I know there's an IPL match today, the IPL final, so I'm sure a lot of people will be watching that, but we keep going. So, yeah, here we are. So, I'm going to take questions from the super chat, from the live chat as well in the beginning, and we'll take as many questions as you have, and we'll do a couple of hours, maybe more, depending on how many questions we have. So before we get into that, let us see who all is there on the live chat. I can see Priyanshu Poli, Mary Kane, good morning, Mary G. Bhaskar Bandit, privyet Bhaskar Bandit. uh, Rishabh Chaudhary is here from Rajasthan. Geopolitical Dubey is here from Indore. Good evening, sir. Kanat Netra is here as well. Ranu Nahapana, hail Dyospitra, the oldest of the gods. Dyospitra. Rohan Sureja, good evening. Rekha Humle, Jai Shri Ram, ma'am. Jagat Guru Swami Vivekananda ji, Jai Shri Ram. Ram Ram indeed. E.R. Drub Shah is here. Namaste. Ashwini Sharma, Shubh Sandhya ji. Uh, Lippy the Lion, Ayush Singh, good day, sir. Good evening, sir. Who else? Om Zero Popali and Ayush Singh, Lippy the Lion. Bhaskar Bandit is here from Moscow. Good evening to you. Good evening. Harshay, good evening, sir. Priyanshi Sood, Om. Siddharth Mishra, IPL finals. Yes, IPL finals. Mahik Katha is here from Ethiopia. Namaste to you. Good evening to you. Aditya Yadav, Utkarsh Shukla, Random Skull, good evening. Rishabh Chaudhary says the IPL final can wait. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Sanjay Uprati, Jai Hind sir. Heisenberg, hello. Prasanna Balaji, yes, okay. Anuj Kumar Sharma, hello. Who else? Who else? We have Unapologetic Saratani. Namaste. Heisenberg, hello once again from Rajasthan. Vinay Paul Gill, hello. Prasanna Balaji, hello. Rahul Himtani is here from Mumbai. Good evening to you, sir. Pratham Agarwal, hello. Harish, you are one. Abhi Chandel, hello. Abhay Parashar, namaskar. Sanjay Uprati once again. Priyanka Javalia, good evening, ma'am. Ankita Kachap, good evening. Ankita ji. Courageous Servant, hello, my brother. Hello, Manisha Cardoso, namaste, ma'am. Wise Idiot, hello. Safed Booth, and so many other people. Heisenberg, Rahul Imtani, A.J. Raul, bonsoir. Hensi Penguin, namaskar. Pratham Agarwal is here from Bangalore. Priyanka Javalia, hello, sir. Hello, ma'am, again. Gurudat Marathe, good evening. Echo 942, hello. Harshay, once again. Who else do we have? Dheeraj Kamath, good evening, good morning. Yes, Sai Origin. Mochi XO Gaming, all good, sir. I hope you're doing great. Who else do we have? Manny is here. Afternoon from UK. Afternoon to you. Swami is here from Jaipur. Dheeraj Kamath once again, and so many other people. Okay, so let's take some questions. Let us take some questions. I won't be able to greet you all individually, but here we go. Let's go. Amisha Mishra is here. Good evening, ma'am. Saptarshi Chakravarti, good evening. Manisha ji and everyone else. Okay. So Priyanshu Poli says, I read somewhere there are trillions worth of oil and gas under the ground in Manipur, which is why there's a conflict in Manipur by foreign powers. So is that the fact? Is that a fact? Let's find out. So let's see what Google has to say about this. Do we actually have large quantities of oil and gas in Manipur? How much oil is known to exist under the ground in Manipur? Yeah, I'm not sure that's the most elegant question, but here we have no proven commercial oil reserves currently exist. Okay, that's what it says. I don't know if it's true or not, but okay. Oil exploration licenses to Jubilant and so on. Jiribam, Tamenglong, Churachandpur districts. Early estimates optimistically projected prospective resources of 380 billion to 5 trillion cubic feet of oil in these blocks. And exploratory drilling was unsuccessful. No active hydrocarbon reserves were established. And the operators officially relinquished both blocks back to the government in 2018. So no hydrocarbon discoveries is what it says officially. How much gas? Let's see. Natural gas. Do we know anything? It will say once again, no proven commercial reserves or precise quantities. Looks like Looks like prove Manipur remains a largely unmapped and untapped exploratory frontier. Now, there's a tectonically active fault zone we have, because we know that there are earthquakes in Manipur from time to time, and there's stiff resistance from local communities and civil societies. I wonder who those local communities are. Yeah, I wonder who those local communities are. I'm sure the indigenous people of Manipur will be happy if there is oil and gas that's discovered in Manipur, and that leads to more jobs, more commercial prospects, more prosperity in locally. I wonder who those local communities are. I wonder. So it looks like officially there's nothing known, but yeah, we'll see. Mary Kane says general relativity versus quantum mechanics incompatibility question. Do you think ancient Indian mathematicians understood these foundational frameworks or theories differently? And if so, what if your ancient Indian data entry consensus algorithms could not only identify and rectify anomalies, but one night out if the cracks the GR versus QM incompatibility factor and comes up with new math? So, do I think ancient Indian mathematicians understood these foundational frameworks or theories differently? Well, I don't think so, and I'll tell you why. Because general relativity is incredibly complicated. You need to understand tensor calculus, which is itself incredibly complicated, to understand this theory. And this theory was formulated by Albert Einstein after 7, 8 years of extremely hard work. And before Einstein, nobody could even imagine the existence of something like general relativity. So before the 20th century, there was no comprehension of anything comparable to general relativity. The concept that there's something called space time, which is a four-dimensional matrix, right? It's a four-dimensional fabric, 3 dimensions of space and 1 dimension of time. There was no concept of that at all anywhere, whether it's in Europe, whether it's in India, or wherever. Uh, so ancient Indian philosophers did understand that there was something called gravity, Gruhatvakarshan, right? That was understood. I'm not sure if it was understood in the Newtonian sense of it being an inverse square uh, force, or a force that acted at a distance. I'm not sure if that is the case, and definitely general relativity is a significant advancement over the Newtonian picture of gravity. So general relativity, there was no understanding of that in ancient India. That needed very complicated advanced mathematics, which at the time did not exist. Well, at the time it was not known to humans. Now, when it comes to quantum mechanics, there was no understanding of the quantum universe, quantum world, before 1900. Okay, so before the 20th century, the existence of the atom was unknown. The atomic, the idea that atoms existed was not accepted widely in science before the 20th century. I'm talking about in the West, in Europe. When it comes to India, we've had, you know, uh, there was this great ancient philosopher named Maharishi Kanad, who put forth an atomic hypothesis, an atomic theory, that if you keep dividing matter, eventually you end up with something called anu, or atom, which is indivisible, right? So that's the essentially the birth of the atomic theory or atomic hypothesis, but there was no experimental way of either proving or disproving it back in the day. So we had the concept of atoms, but how small were atoms and what were molecules? I'm not sure that if that was understood. And the concept of different elements like hydrogen, helium, lithium, neon, etc., argon, krypton, all the way to uranium, thorium, all that. I'm not that obviously wasn't there. Um, so quantum mechanics. I mean, Indian philosophy does ancient Indian philosophy does throw up ideas that nobody believed in, uh, or nobody took seriously in the scientific world. Outside of the scientific world, in philosophy, in spirituality, people took it seriously, yes. But in science, no one took that seriously until quantum mechanics started throwing up massive questions. And even today, we don't know how to interpret quantum mechanics. That's why we have multiple interpretations of quantum mechanics, and we don't know which one is correct. Things like quantum entanglement, things like the multiverse, things like quantum immortality, and so on. I mean, these things, these ideas, if you are familiar with Indian philosophy, they will sound familiar. So Indian philosophy threw up ideas that quantum mechanics several thousand years later would throw up again. So somehow the ancients came up with ideas by exploring the inner universe that eventually quantum mechanics was able to throw out at us. But does it mean that our ancients had an understanding of quantum mechanics? It doesn't mean that, right? So yes, I do not think at all that ancient Indian mathematicians understood either quantum mechanics or general relativity, because these concepts did not exist at the time. These concepts are 20th century concepts, and we are still working on those, right? Even general relativity is a work in progress, because it does have certain minor issues which can become major issues if depending on how you look at them. So yeah, that's how I see it, right? Okay, let's take some other questions. Rishabh Chaudhary says, I am from Rajasthan. Many women wear Ghungat by choice to honor culture and elders. Feminists call it oppressive or Mughal influenced. True. I don't take feminists seriously. Feminism has no place in India. I'm sure a lot of ladies will now feel outraged that I've said this. Indian ladies. So here's the deal. This Ghungat thing, the wheel, you know, covering your face with a ghungat, that sort of thing, that's now part of culture. But 1,000 years ago, around 1000 AD, no woman in India did that. Nobody at all. It was alien to India, that sort of behavior. Completely alien to India. That was forced upon us because barbaric foreigners, the Turks, started conquering parts of India, and they regarded uncovered women as pieces of meat. That's why women were forced to start covering up their bodies and their faces, and they had to start, remaining indoors. And eventually that became culture and tradition. So I think that can be discarded today. And it's not Indian culture. It is something that was forced upon Indian culture. It's un-Indian. It's adharmic. Okay? There is nothing in any Indian text, religious text, that says that women need to show modesty and cover up with their faces and bodies and whatnot. Nothing whatsoever. So if feminists call it oppressive, they should understand the root cause of this oppressive, tradition. The root cause of the oppressive tradition is the Abrahamic culture that was imposed upon them, upon us, upon our ancestors. Right? So I am all in favor of any lady who no longer wishes to do that. She should definitely not do that, because that's not part of our culture. That's something that our ancestors had to do under duress. They had no choice. Right? Now, feminism. Feminists, okay, let's talk about feminism. A lot of ladies in India, a lot of women, a lot of girls believe that feminism is the solution to a lot of problems in India. We have dowry issues. We have Eve teasing, like they say, which is a euphemism for sexual harassment, right? And so many other issues in India. Women don't have equality apparently in India, right? Equal rights and everything, and so on. So, if you have issues like dowry, ask yourself: is this custom of dowry, is that Hinduism? Is it part of our culture? Does any Hindu text say that? Does any Hindu religious text mandate dowry? None does. No text does. So these are all um, defects that crept into Indian society over the past 1,000 years. The the Eve teasing, like you say, women are harassed in public and so on. Is that Indian culture? No, that's foreign culture that's crept into India in the past 1,000 years. All the problems that women face in India are problems that crept into Indian society over the past 1,000 years because India came under foreign occupation. This is not a defect of Indian culture. Now, feminism itself is a foreign thing. To cleanse Indian society of defects introduced by foreign cultures, do we need one more foreign introduction into India? No, that's not the solution. The solution is to expunge these negative foreign influences from Indian society. That's the solution. Feminism is not the solution. Feminism is itself problematic. Feminism is most feminist. Feminism is about hating men. Feminism is about positioning women above men. You should have complementarity in society. You should have symmetry in society. That's what our culture says. So feminism has no place in India. I disagree with any and all feminists. Feminism has no place in India, none whatsoever. Right. Okay. What do we have? What else? What else? What else? Do we have some other questions? Dhruv Shah says, is it possible India, Nepal, Bhutan, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, POK, COK, country, one county, one country with no foreign religion? Namaste from Nepal. Namaste ji. Is it possible? Well, anything is possible if India is strong enough. Anything is possible. We can reunite the subcontinent if we are strong enough. Right now, India is not strong enough. Is it possible? Of course, it is possible. Is it possible to do this with no foreign religion? Well, that's a little more complicated. I mean, if you talk about POK, Pakistan occupied Kashmir, everyone there is a Muslim. Islam is a foreign religion, of course, right? Isn't it? I mean, of course it is. It's not an Indian religion. It did not emerge from India. It's a religion that is present in the subcontinent, but it did not originate in the subcontinent. It is foreign to the subcontinent. So, if you say no foreign religion, how do you make it happen? That's the question. You can't force them all to instantaneously give up their foreign religion. They were born into it, I suppose. So POK, it won't be possible, right? Not for 100 years, for 50 years, 100 years. At least it'll take that much time to de-radicalize these people. So I don't think it's possible. It's certainly possible to reunify the subcontinent if India is powerful enough, eventually. But with no foreign religion, that may take longer. that won't be easy, right? You can't just forcibly, force people to stop practicing whatever religion they were born into. The people in POK, especially the younger ones, they were born into this. So, yeah, that won't be possible. At least the next few decades. Yeah. Ayush Singh says US is going all out for cheap missile alongside with expensive ones. They learned the lesson well. I'm not sure if they have the ability to quickly start manufacturing cheap missiles. See, they have something called the military industrial complex, right? And the military industrial complex specializes in producing extremely expensive weapons. Okay? That's how they make their money. Tremendous amounts of money they make. But they don't know how to make cheap, inexpensive missiles. They don't know how to do that. I don't see the US doing that right now, right? So it makes sense for them to produce large quantities of inexpensive missiles, but do they have the ability to do that? I mean, it will require them to create. I mean, to completely rework the supply chains and rework their assembly lines and reskill their workers or whatever. That's not easy. It'll take a lot of time to do that. So that's a long-term solution for them. Right now, they don't have the means to make it happen unless they buy inexpensive missiles from somebody. But who? From whom? I wonder. Okay. Once again, US is mass producing cheap missiles now. Really? Let's find out. Is the United States mass producing cheap missiles? Okay. The US is actively mass producing low cost missiles and expendable munitions to build deeper inventories and counter saturating threats. The major doctrinal shift moving away from solely relying on $1 million legacy precision weapons involves several targeted platforms. Okay, what is that? FAM. Affordable mass munitions. That program is designed to procure tens of thousands of low-cost cruise missiles, such as the Anduril Barracuda 500, over the coming years. Okay. So in the coming years, they will make this happen, but in the next 6 months, it won't happen. That's the point I'm making. Okay. Low-cost containerized missiles initiative. Yeah, all that is fine. Large-scale conflicts. Producing high volumes of good enough, cheaper cruise missiles, which cost about $500,000 each. Even that is very expensive, actually. But okay. Commercial off-the-shelf components and so on. So they're obviously clearly learning the lesson. But for them to make this operational will take, like they say, the coming years. Yes. So there is no short-term solution for the problem the US faces. This will happen over the coming years. Yeah. So obviously the lesson is there to be learned, but how quickly do you pivot is the question. Pivoting will take time. Okay. What else? What else? Jagadguru Swami Vivekananda says non-harm is the highest religious principle, or non-violence is the greatest law. Therefore, only a strict vegan can claim to be an adherent of the eternal religion Sanatan Dharma. Okay, if okay, non-harm is the highest religious. Yeah, sure, sure. Dharma says that the highest religious principle, the highest dharmic principle, is non-harm. Don't do harm to others. Now, if I eat an apple, if I bite into an apple and I masticate the apple, I'm actively massacring millions of tiny cells, living cells that are part of the body of the apple, the flesh of the apple, the white part of the apple, even the epidermis of the apple, the red part, or yellow or green, depending on the kind of apple. That's also living cells, living tissue. It's alive. When I slice up a tomato and an onion, and I stir fry that, what am I doing? That's living tissue. These are living cells which I'm cooking alive. Isn't that violence now by the same definition? Or is it okay to do violence to plants because they can't scream? They can't react the way animals do. So is non-violence only applicable to animals and not to trees or plants or vegetation? So is non-violence only applicable to zoology and not to botany? When I chop up a carrot, I'm slicing into living tissue. When I eat salad, lettuce, arugula, whatever, I'm eating green living tissue alive. Now, is that not violence? Living is violence. Life is a form of violence. When a cow eats grass, it's eating living tissue alive. Right? So I'm not sure whether we should take this literally. Now, when it comes to upholding, non-harm, non-violence, what if you're faced with violent people? What if your country is under invasion by a bunch of utter barbarians? Should we not harm them? Should we not end their existence? Maybe we should, so that we can destroy adharma and establish the rule of dharma, which is non-violence. So to establish the rule of non-violence, we must first destroy those who are violent, correct? Now, to destroy those who are violent, okay, they eat a lot of protein. They eat meat. They kill cows and eat cows. Now, I'm not saying Hindus should kill cows and eat cows, but Hindus, for example, 1,000 years ago, when we were faced with the barbaric Turkic invasions, what if all our people were just grass eaters or salad eaters? Would they have been in a position to fight back? No. You need protein to fight back. And the cleanest form of protein without any BS is meat. So it's fine, in my opinion, for some people to eat meat, especially those who need the protein so that they can defend and uphold dharma. You need people who are highly skilled in violence and good people at the same time. So all these things are nice in theory. In the real world is messy. And in dharma, Hindu dharma, Sanatan dharma, there is no proscription on eating meat. Read the Rig Veda. Does the Rig Veda say you can't eat meat? The foundational text of civilization, the Rig Veda. Does it say you can't eat meat? It says no such thing. Do you know what the Ashwamedha Yagna is? It's a Rig Vedic Yagna. So what happens in the Ashwamedha Yagna? Do you chop carrots and tomatoes in the Ashwamedha Yagna? Not quite. So these, what you're saying overall is fine. It's fine in theory. It's fine for most people, but the real world is complicated, and there is no a proscription in Hindu Dharma, in the Vedas, especially the Rig Veda, the oldest and the foundation, most foundational Veda, that you have to be vegan or whatever, right? There is no such, you know, exhortation that only that you should not eat meat. Not at all. Okay, let's take some questions from the super chat. Yes, Bhaskar Bandit says Japan seems to be heading towards militarization against China. You or somebody said within 5 years they will be nuclearized. Your views on this and how APAC dynamics will change as a result. Well, I have said this for a while. Let's try and dig this out. What have I said? So I've said this multiple times on this show, the Ask Abhijit show. But if you want to see that in writing, I'm sure I can bring it out in writing. I mean, where is it? Okay, so this one here. Let's put this on the screen. Yes. So it's not me who has said this originally. It is Shri Henry Kissinger ji who said this. Okay. This is a tweet of mine from March 7, 2025. And I'm quoting Mr. Kissinger, the late Mr. Kissinger, who said this in 2023, that Japan is heading towards becoming a nuclear power in 5 years. Yeah, so I won't be surprised if that happens. And Mr. Henry Kissinger had seen probably the most experienced diplomat of all time, at least the 20th century. He saw it all. So if he said something, we should take it seriously. So it's possible, yeah. That see, he said this in 2023. So there's a deadline. The deadline is 2028. If Japan doesn't become a nuclear power by 2028, then it means that he was wrong. So we still have a couple of years, and a lot may change in that time. What do I? What's my view towards how do I view this? Yeah, I kind of agree with Mr. Kissinger that Japan most likely will become a nuclear power in some shape or form by 2028. Most likely. It doesn't necessarily mean that Japan will design, test, and operationalize nuclear weapons. It could also mean that the US may bring in nuclear weapons and place them on Japanese territory. That also makes Japan a nuclear power, right? By proxy, by default. So that could happen, right? How APAC, Asia Pacific dynamics could change as a result, it will change significantly. So the US wants to contain China. The US has these assets: Japan, South Korea, Taiwan. It has the island chains. The US will operationalize them all and do everything it can to contain China as a consequence. So the world is it's bifurcating. We're seeing east versus west kind of order, not quite east versus west, but the US led world order versus the China Russia led world order. The China Russia led world order is China plus Russia plus Iran plus North Korea plus Belarus and whoever else. And on the other side, you have the US and all its vassals, including Japan, South Korea, Taiwan, the EU nations, and all the other nations that you can think of, which are on the side of the US. And where does India fit in? I suppose India fits in nowhere here. Or India has a choice. Maybe India goes the hard way and remains sovereign, or India takes the easy route and becomes an American vassal. We'll see about that. Bhaskar Bandit says, Priyat, indeed, thank you. When we say that public has the most simple version of AI and governments have the most powerful one, what does it actually mean in application? Is it in computational terms or military ability? What exactly does it mean? Let's say you open ChatGPT and say, please explain to me step by step how to make a nuclear weapon. It's going to give you some theoretical stuff. It won't tell you exactly how much fissile material you need, either uranium or plutonium 239 or uranium 235. It won't tell you that. It won't give you the exact, engineering configurations. For example, let's say you ask ChatGPT, help me make a homemade hand grenade. Give me step-by-step instructions. It won't tell you that. It'll report you. It'll ban your account if you try to do that. Okay? If you ask it to develop explosives, if you ask it to help you find the recipe for mustard gas or certain kinds of nerve agents, it's going to report you, it's going to ban your account. You understand what I mean here? Yeah. If you ask ChatGPT to help you find potential uh, targets for drone strikes on terrorist hideouts in Pakistan, won't do that for you. Do you get it? So these are some things that ChatGPT will never do for you. If you ask it such questions, it will either report you or ban your account. Okay, permanently. What else? There's other limitations. What kind of limitations? For instance, the context window. If you are there are different tiers, right? There's the free tier. I don't know what the context window in that is. There's a $20 per month tier. There's $100 per month tier. There's a $200 per month tier. I suppose super mega heaviest Grok has $500 per month tiers and whatnot. So these all come with different kinds of context windows, different sizes of the context window. A context window is in terms of tokens. How many tokens does your AI agent have when conversing with you and carrying on back and forth conversation and doing whatever calculations, computations, the code or whatever it is doing? So your standard context window, I don't know what it is. 50,000 tokens or 200,000 tokens. I don't know. Some depending on how much you're paying per month, you may have 1 million tokens in your context window. I'm not sure how super heavy, mega heavy Grok has. Maybe it's 2 million tokens. I don't know what it is. What's a token? A token is a fragment of a word, essentially, if you think of it that way. So when you are a civilian who's a paying customer, whatever you're paying, you have a certain context window that you have to operate within in your conversations with your AI agent. If you are the military, I suppose your context window is unlimited, right? So there are all these factors that come into play. And it's pretty certain that even if you're paying for the most powerful or most expensive version of the AI subscription, the AI model is its hands are tied in multiple ways. Okay. For example, the Anthropic did not release a certain model of cloud mythos. It simply did not release it to the public. It released it to corporations and enterprises. So I'm sure there is a mega mythos out there that's been given to the US military, and that will be the most capable version of the thing. So that's the deal. That's what I mean by the public has your standard cookie cutter versions of AI, and the government, not the governments, the US government has the most powerful one. Okay, Rohan Suneja says, can someone from a tier 2 CLG, college in life, succeed in life? CLG means college, I suppose. Yes, tier 2 college. Can someone from a tier 2 college succeed in life? Absolutely, no question about it. Of course, somebody from a tier 2 college can succeed in life. Why not? What's stopping you? Unless you are thinking about where will I get a good job. Now start your own business. Do something. Create something. You can become a millionaire, a billionaire. You don't even need to have a college education to become a billionaire in 20 years. You don't need that. Okay? If you know how to succeed in business, it doesn't matter what your education is, what educational qualifications are. So my answer in very short is, it doesn't matter what college you come from or whether you got to go to college or not. It doesn't matter at all. No matter where you come from, no matter what your educational background is, whether you have qualifications or no qualifications, it doesn't matter. It's immaterial. If you have it in you to succeed, you will succeed. All right. Lippy the Lion says, building up on my last question. Which last question? From a previous episode, I suppose? Maybe. So you're talking about a previous question that I can't remember, but okay. See, even my context window is limited. So the question is, as the entropy increases with black hole surface area, Can it become zero at the singularity where time itself stops? No. Does time stop at the singularity? That's again an undefined question. The singularity is a division by zero, essentially. So time itself and all these things are undefined at the singularity. We're not even sure if the singularity actually physically exists. Most likely, it does not. It's simply a flaw in the equations, in the Einstein field equations. Now, entropy increases with black hole surface area. Entropy is proportional to the surface area of the black hole. What surface? The surface is the event horizon. For a non-rotating, uncharged black hole, uh, the radius of the black hole, which it's going to be spherical, so the radius of the sphere is going to be uh, 2 mg by c squared, where m is the mass of the black hole, g is capital G, which is Newton's universal gravitational constant, and c is the speed of light. So that's your r, and based on that, you can calculate the surface area of the black hole. And entropy is going to be proportional to the surface area of the black hole, which is the area of the event horizon. So as a black hole gets larger for whatever reason, obviously the entropy will increase because the surface area is larger now. If a black hole evaporates and becomes smaller, the entropy also decreases as a consequence. Okay. Now, so the entropy of the black hole depends on the surface area of the black hole. Entropy cannot go all the way. I mean, singularity. The singularity is inside the black hole. Entropy depends on the surface of the black hole. So there is no connection with the singularity. Do you understand? There is no connection between the entropy of a black hole and the singularity of the black hole. It's not like as we go inside the black hole, the entropy decreases. No. Entropy is that of the black hole itself, the entire system. And that's proportional to the surface area. It has nothing to do with the singularity. Now, if a black hole becomes smaller and smaller and eventually it becomes zero, then there is no entropy left. So the point is, there is no connection between the entropy of a black hole and the singularity that may or may not exist at the heart of the black hole. There is no way of knowing whether time itself stops at the singularity. The singularity is an undefined mathematical object because it's a division by zero. And it's not like we can go take slices into the black hole and go inside the black hole and entropy decreases. No. The entropy is that of the black hole as an entire system, and that is proportional to the surface, to the area of the surface of the black hole. All right. Popali says, back in class 6-7, that's a decade ago, I had a teacher who was ultra toxic. What's the right solution of getting over as those thoughts still trouble me? You had a nasty teacher back in class 6 and 7. Why do those thoughts trouble you? So I don't know. I mean, why the thoughts would trouble you? I mean, everybody faces some nasty things in various points in life, but somehow it's affecting you, right? It's still troubling you. Maybe he or she said something nasty, or had consistently nasty behavior. I have no idea what the exact situation was, circumstances are, but some trauma in your past is troubling you. Essentially, that's what you're saying. And the trauma was caused by this ultra toxic teacher. And that's still troubling you. Well, I'm not sure if I'm the right person to answer this question. This sounds like it's a psychological trauma that you suffered, and you are unable to let go of that. I would highly recommend, if it is troubling you, if it's causing problems in your life, go to a professional psychiatrist, psychologist, whatever it is. Psychologist, psychiatrist, I don't know which one of those two, and have this addressed professionally. I'm not sure what this what the solution to this is. I personally have never faced this sort of thing. No, it's not like I never had the toxic teachers. Everybody's had toxic teachers. We've all had that, but it's never affected me. So I don't know what the solution is, since I have never faced that. So I would highly recommend, go to a professional, take professional help, and get rid of the problem. All right, sir. All the best. Kakashi says, Shashi Tharoor, one of the few leftist nationalists we have, was refused entry into Mumbai Beach Club in the 70s because he was not yet white. Yeah, I'm hearing this sort of nonsense these days. First of all, I may not necessarily agree or disagree with your characterization of Mr. Tharoor. So no comments about that. But he's an Indian. And was he refused entry into a Mumbai beach club in the 70s? Let's find out. Is that true? Was Shashi Tharoor ever refused entry into a Mumbai club in the 1970s? Yes, Shashi Tharoor was expelled from a Mumbai club, but it happened in the mid 60s. So Tharoor was thrown out of the exclusive colonial era Breach Candy Club in South Bombay because he was Indian. He had been brought into the pool by an American classmate who assumed the club would overlook Tharoor's race. Would you believe it? Racist provision. So Congress Member of Parliament Shashi Tharoor recalled being thrown out of the Mumbai's elite Breach Candy Club in the 1960s as the controversy surrounding the proposed takeover, whatever. Okay. Okay, what else? Shashi Tharoor posted, there is absolutely no acceptable justification for a racist provision to survive on government land or non-government land, Mr. Tharoor. What are you saying? To say the club's constitution requires it is ridiculous. What about India's constitution? So he said, I myself was thrown out of the Breach Candy Club in Bombay in the 1960s, where an American classmate hoped he could ignore the whites and take an Indian friend along. This was India 20 years after independence. So my question is that still the case? Let's see this tweet. It's going to open in a new tab. So let me open the new tab. Give me a second. So let's open this. Eyes on Breach Candy Club. It can't have diplomatic immunity. It must be Indian. Let's read this. Breach Candy Club. It's probably the most racist club of India. If you're Indian, your chances of managing affairs in the club are negligible. You need to be European or of European descent. Yet from its earlier days, it's a big improvement. Most clubs in Mumbai banned Indians until 1947, Breach Candy Club as well. After 1947, most clubs permitted Indians to become members, but Breach Candy Club did not. They allowed Indians only in 1960. Even the diplomat and politician Shashi Tharoor was given that lesson. When as a child he tried to enter the club, his foreigner host had invited him, but the entry was not permitted. You did not just need to not be European, you needed to even look European. A French woman was so tan that every time she had to carry her passport to ensure she was permitted inside. Indians were permitted entry into the club in the 1960s because of a black American diplomat. The black diplomat was brought by his white colleague for a swim, but was shunted away. The Americans protested. It triggered an outrage that eventually opened the doors to Indians. Even today, this tweet is from May 26, 2026. Even today, Indians are not allowed voting or management power of the club. Even today, the management of the club is almost out of bounds for plain vanilla Indians. The odds of a European chef becoming a member with authority are probably higher than that of a young Indian CEO of a unicorn. Is it the most racist club of India? This club should be immediately banned. What kind of a joke is this? Yeah? What kind of a joke is this? Abysmal. Breach Candy Club. This thing should be shut down immediately. And whoever is running this club should be arrested and thrown into jail. As simple as that. This racism against Indians in India. Whoever has been running this club in the past 50 since the 1960s or whenever, whoever is still alive should be arrested and thrown into jail. And this club should be shut down. or it should be brought under new management. And those who have been running it should be banned for life, or should be jailed for life, as I would say. India is a clown show in so many ways, isn't it? Absolute clown show of a country. Seriously. Ranu Nahapana says it looks like temporary nation Pakistan never gonna vanish. Patience, patience, sir, patience. Kakashi says, can cancer be cured? Is there already one not released? Is there already one not released? One what? I'm not sure one what. Can cancer be cured? I'm sure lots of people get cured of cancer. If the cancer is caught reasonably early, what you do is you have surgery, then you have radiation, then you have chemotherapy, or maybe all in parallel. And in a lot of cases, people get cured of cancer. There are certain kinds of cancer that are harder to cure, to treat, I suppose. But a lot of cases of cancer are reasonably, you know, reasonably curable. Yeah. And there's word of some vaccine that's been developed in Russia. And let's find out. A Russian cancer vaccine, right? That was announced, and it was apparently made available to all Russian citizens. Has a cancer vaccine been developed in Russia? So, yes, Russia has developed experimental therapeutic cancer vaccine. Even though they are currently in early clinical trials and have not yet received widespread approval for general public use. Personalized mRNA vaccines. There are two main technologies developed by Russian institutions. So, personalized mRNA vaccines developed by Gamaleya National Research Center. These vaccines are customized to a patient's individual tumor mutations to teach the immune system to recognize and destroy cancer cells. Russian health officials have reported the start of early clinical applications, including for melanoma and Enteromyx, an oncolytic vaccine developed by the Federal Medical and Biological Agency, FMBA, that uses a combination of viruses to simultaneously target malignant cells and activate the patient's innate immunity. These are therapeutic, not preventive, therapeutic vaccines designed to treat existing cancers and prevent recurrence, rather than prophylactic vaccines like the HPV shot that are meant to prevent tumors from forming in the first place. So it's in the early stage. There are promising early stage results, but the vaccines have only been tested in a very small sample sizes. They still require larger scale phase 3 trials and independent peer reviewed data from global journals, blah blah blah. Okay, so there's some progress on this front, and maybe I wish the Russians the best if they can make this happen. All right. Kakashi says, views on Jay, Sai, Deepak, Sanjeev, Sanyal, Vikram Sampath. I don't comment on individuals unless they are global leaders. So no comments. Aman Kumar Dhankar says, how a person better in visuals can develop reading. How a person better in visuals can develop reading. So you mean that you learn better, or you prefer visuals, images, or video, and you learn through that, or you just enjoy that, but you want to develop the habit of reading. How do you do that? So how do you develop the skill, the art, the habit of reading? I'll tell you how. Start by reading one page in a day. Do that for a week. One page in a day. One page of a book will take 2-3 minutes, maybe 5 minutes, let's say. For 7 days, every single day at a certain time, whenever possible, read one page. Next 7 days, read 2 pages. Next 7 days, read 3 pages a day. Next 7 days, read 4 pages a day. So in a month, you've gone from reading 1 page a day to reading 4 pages a day. Then keep on adding 1 page every week. So in 20 weeks, you'll be reading 20 pages a day. 20 weeks is 5 months. You'll be reading 20 pages a day in 20 weeks. Okay? In 30 weeks, you'll be reading 30 pages a day. So that's how you develop the habit of reading. You get better and better the more you read. Your reading speed increases every single time, a little bit, maybe by 0.1% or whatever, but it keeps increasing. And eventually, you'll be able to absorb a lot of information. And then you'll be able to go way beyond 20, 30 pages. Maybe you'll be able to do 100 pages a day. Yeah. So if you want to be in any position of importance or responsibility, you need to have the ability to absorb information quickly in the written form, not in audio visual form. Reading is the fastest way of in which a human being can absorb information. Because if you listen to a podcast, I mean, I'm not saying it's a bad way of doing things, but podcasts are also great. But a podcast is the spoken word, which is much slower than typically how fast you can read. So there we have it, right? That's how we do it. All the best, sir. Harshai says, if I have a victim mindset, should I take pride in God pride, or should I take caste pride for motivation? If I have a victim mindset, should I take pride in God pride, or should I take caste pride for motivation? I have no idea. Um, hmm, I'm not sure what you're asking here. Should you take pride in God pride? What does that mean? Should I take caste pride for motivation? I have no idea, sir. For motivation, whatever works for you, take it. Okay. All right. Deepen Vadhwa says, I'm Sindhi and no one talks about our history. I'd love to learn from you. Much respect, favorite YouTuber in Bharati. Thank you so much. See, the thing is, I myself am not very clear in detail about Sindhi history. Right? The story of the Sindhi people is tragic, of course. Of course, the Sindhi Hindus who were forcibly asked to depart from their homeland, Sindh, and who were uprooted brutally, who had to escape with their lives to India, and then were to start lives from scratch, from zero in India. And still, the Sindhi community here has been very successful in business and so many other things, right? I'm sure we all know some Sindhi people who are generally very successful people. So overall, fantastic job by the Sindhi people. The history of Sindh is not something I'm very familiar with. The deep history of Sindh, sure. I mean, Sindh was the first part of India that fell to foreign invasions, right? I'm talking about the Turco-Arabic invasions, Mohammed bin Qasim and Raja Dahir and all that. It's all the past 1,000+ years. It's been tragic. Deeper history. Well, Sindh, right? So Sindh was the Indian frontier vis-a-vis Persia. Balochistan from time to time was part of Persia. From time to time. Right now, Balochistan, half of it is part of Persia. So Sindh was essentially the frontier, the western frontier of India. Yeah, and I'm sure pretty deep history, but I'm not any kind of expert in Sindhi history. So I won't be able to teach you, unfortunately. All right. Thank you, sir. Kakashi says J. Kiriakou, CIA agent, claimed on ANI podcast. He came on the ANI podcast. They are calling Kiriakou on the ANI podcast. Okay. So J. Kiriakou, a CIA agent, claimed on ANI podcast that Pakistani military leadership, especially under Musharraf, was US puppet. And US and Pentagon controls Pakistani nuclear security. Looks like John Kiriakou has been watching me, because I've been saying this for a long time about the nuclear aspect. Everybody in the world knows that Pakistan is the Pakistani army, the Pakistani military is US. It's a bunch of US puppets. He's not made some gigantic revelation that the world never knew before. Everyone knows the Pakistani military is controlled by the US. They are American puppets. Everyone knows this. It's not some great new thing that he has brought in front of the world and illuminated the world with his brilliance. Everyone knows that. We knew that before he was born. So, but this other aspect is interesting, that the US controls Pakistani nuclear security. No, they don't control Pakistani nuclear security. The Pakistani nuclear weapons are American weapons, are American nukes on Pakistani territory. And it's American technicians and officials who actually control those nuclear weapons. I have no evidence of this, but I have a brain. Okay. Sachdev Satyajit says Chandrayaan 2 discovers water ice at Shackleton Ridge. A week later, NASA selected this as the location of their moon base with territory claim. Meanwhile, Gaganyaan is delayed. We are a clown show. Yes, we are a clown show. Correct. Yes, we are a clown show. This country has no ambition. No ambition. So it is an Indian spacecraft, Chandrayaan 2, that discovered for the first time in human history the presence of water on the moon. And now we know that there is plenty of water in the permanently shadowed portions of craters on the moon in the South Pole region. And the US is now going to send astronauts to that region and they're going to start claiming territory there. Guarantee. And what are we doing? We have not yet launched a human being into Earth orbit, even now. The Indian space program is proceeding at snail's pace. Not a serious country, seriously. Seriously, not a serious country. It's super frustrating to see the complete lack of ambition India shows in these frontier sectors. It's like India is determined to remain a mediocre third-rate nation. Right. And then people say that I criticize the government. I don't know how to read that. Okay, you're Galab from Assam. Okay. I've been following you since I was in college 2021. Well, thank you so much. That's quite a while. Yeah, I started the Ask Abhijit show in 2021. So thank you so much for having been a viewer since 2021. Thank you. Now I'm pursuing a PhD. Fantastic. I'm determined to do good work for our society. I'm so glad to hear that. You've inspired me greatly. Thank you so much. Well, thank you so much. Thank you so much. I'm so happy to hear this. I'm glad that you are now pursuing your PhD. And I wish you the best in your endeavors. I wish you great success in doing great work for our society. We need young, talented, ambitious, capable, bright young people like you. And I wish you the best. I wish you the best. I wish you great success. Thank you so much, sir. Aditya Yadav says harsh geography, harsh religion. Islam's hate for sun. Harsh geography, harsh religion. No comments, sir. I do not comment about certain specific religions. It's best not to. Sorry. ICMBs says, hi after a while. Well, hi. Good to have you back. So you've been saying for some time that there would be some hard times for the next 20 years. Is the devaluation of the rupee the start? Not necessarily. That's fine. That's fine. That's not necessarily the start of hard times. The hard times started in 2022 when India made the right choice by refusing to join US and Western sanctions on Russia. And not only that, we decided to start purchasing way more oil than we were doing from Russia. So we made it very clear, we laid down a line in the sand that we are a sovereign nation. We will not go along with whatever you say. That was the beginning of the hard times. That was the start of the hard times. We are now in the hard times. The devaluation of the rupee, it's not the devaluation of the rupee. It's the rupee's worth going down. Devaluation means the government, so devaluation is a process that's done by the government. The rupee is not being devalued by the government of India. It's a free floating currency. Right? So, yeah, it's right now. I mean, a few years ago, it was at 80 rupees to the dollar. Couple of decades ago, it was less than 50 per the dollar. Now it's almost, 95 or something? 95 or so rupees to the dollar. So, yeah, that's obviously a sign of the fact that India is not a major manufacturer of anything of importance for the world. Right? India has had more than a decade to become a manufacturing power. And we haven't really very successfully succeeded in successfully doing that. So there's nothing that India produces that the world can't do without. India is mostly a consumer more than a producer. And that's the problem, right? That's why the rupee isn't doing well. So this is not really a sign of the hard times. That's not brought upon us by outsiders. This is our own fault. We have failed to become a manufacturing power. We have failed to attract manufacturing investment, and we have failed to make people move away from other countries and manufacture in India. We have not made it easy for foreign companies to manufacture in India. It's so difficult to acquire land. Electricity is expensive compared to other countries. Water is expensive. All the red tape. We're essentially telling people to go elsewhere. That's the problem in India. All the over regulation, all the red tape. So difficult to do business in India. No one wants to do it. Right? Tesla isn't doing it. So many others aren't doing it. Maybe Tesla, there are political reasons or whatever. But yeah. So that's why the rupee isn't doing well, because India manufactures nothing that the world can't do without. But the hard times started in 2022. Ayush Tiwari says, how did Chota Bheem defeat Kirmada? I have never seen Chota Bheem, so I can't say. Atrocious cartoon. Ugh, can't stand it. So, I mean, these Indian cartoons, they're designed to lower the IQ of children. Seriously, if you watch Indian cartoons, you will see that they are designed to lower the IQ of children, to dump children down. I have never had the misfortune of watching Chota Bheem. Right? So, Kubera says, what do you think of Alex Karp? Who is Alex Karp? I've heard the name. The name does ring a bell vaguely, but who is Alex Karp? Let's find out. I don't know who it is. Alex Karp. Who's this person? American business. Oh, Palantir. Okay. Palantir. Yeah, of course, Palantir. What do I think of him? I don't really know that much about him, so I can't really say. See, I could not even remember who it was. I of course know about Palantir, but I don't know about him in any specific detail. So sorry, don't know what I think of him. Ashutosh Malgaonkar, thank you very much, sir. Indeed. Sagnik Acharya says, can we ever reconcile with our historical past, especially the Islamic conquest of India and the aftermaths we see till today? If we can't, what happens? What do you mean by reconcile? The past is the past. We have to understand exactly what happened without whitewashing or hiding things, or explaining things away conveniently without pointing out the actual facts. So what we need to do is we need to come face to face with what actually happened. Right now, the problem in India is that India is a society that has PTSD and amnesia at the same time. PTSD is post-traumatic stress disorder. That happens when you have gone through some extremely traumatic events. It's something that generally soldiers face when they have been in horrific battles and they've survived them, and they've finally retired from the armed forces and they've come back to civilian life, and they simply can't live a normal life because they are haunted by the experiences they've had. So that's PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. Indian society has gone through incredible trauma. The past 2.5 centuries of British occupation, where hundreds of millions were killed through artificial famines. That's one. And before that, you had more than a few hundred millions killed during the Turkic occupation of India. Maybe 500 million, maybe a billion, we don't know. Or maybe 500 million over a period of 7, 8, 9 centuries. Not in one day. Some geniuses will now try to point out how can it happen. Yeah, there are plenty of geniuses out there. So we've had incredible trauma. That is what has caused the PTSD in Indian society. But amnesia is also there. We don't know what happened. Your teachers won't teach you what happened. Your textbooks won't tell you what happened. They will say, oh, Akbar was a very good king. Yeah, Akbar was a great secular king. He never killed 30,000 women and children in one day in Chittorgarh. No, never happened. The Turks did not kill hundreds of millions of Indians. Never happened. Never happened. They were all secular, Sarva Dharma Sambhav, whatever it is, Ganga Jamuni, whatever. They'll teach you that BS. They'll say Lord William Bentinck was a great man. Lord Wellesley tried to reform society. Lord Macaulay was a great reformer. This sort of BS they will teach you so that you never know what happened to you and your ancestors. That's the problem. Can we reconcile? Can we actually come face to face with what really happened in our past? Of course we can. Of course we can. It's of course possible. Then we will understand why our society is so beset by trauma, by PTSD. If we can't, then we are doomed. Yeah. Dheeraj Kamath says, I have been able to get AI to provide me prohibited information on multiple occasions. It's very easy to gaslight and coerce. Well, I'll tell you what. There's something called jailbreaks. Okay. So there were times like in the early 2020s, maybe 22, 23, when people used to publish jailbreaks on Twitter. That if you know, prompt ChatGPT in some specific ways, then you will be able to work around its limitations. It's going to provide you the information that it's not supposed to provide, prohibited information, like how to synthesize DMT or whatever, how to make the Breaking Bad substance meth, whatever it is. Yeah, right. So there were there were ways of doing that. Jailbreaking AI. Try doing that today. You're gonna lose your account. So it may still work today in certain cases, but you are playing with fire. If you value your account, you don't do such things. Okay? And today's AIs, they're not that easy to gaslight and coerce. I mean, there are certain ways of doing it which I won't, which I would rather, it would be unwise to reveal here. There are certain ways of doing things. Yeah. Yeah. But overall, even if you try those means, certain things it won't tell you, right? Yeah. So there are certain ways of manipulating AI and so on. But let's say eventually it knows who you are, so you can't gaslight it. That's the problem. Okay. Kakashi says apples don't feel pain, they are not conscious. That's fine. It's not about pain, it's about non-harm. It's about non-harm. It's not about feeling pain or not. It's not about whether the organism has a central nervous system or not. It's not about that. It's about non-harm. When you destroy a living organism, there is harm whether it feels pain or not. Do you understand? Do you understand? That's my point. My point is not central nervous system. If an organism does not have a central nervous system, it can't feel pain. That's what we believe. I'll tell you something. For the longest time, even today, a lot of people believe that it's perfectly fine to boil crabs and lobsters alive because they don't feel pain. They don't feel pain. It's fine to boil shrimps alive. They don't feel pain. They do have a central nervous system. Let me tell you something else. Let's go and find out from Google. Until when were children and infants operated upon without anesthesia? Infants. So surgeons routinely operated on infants without anesthesia into the late 1980s. Medical professionals erroneously believed that infants could not feel pain, or that their nervous systems were too immature to process it, instead relying solely on muscle relaxants to keep the babies still. Okay. So and it was Dr. Kamaljit Anand who published research proving infants not only feel pain but experience it more intensely than adults. So your best medical professionals until the 1980s told you infants don't feel pain. You can operate upon them without anesthesia. Today, the best scientists will tell you apples don't feel pain. You sure about that? Maybe someday we will realize even the apples feel pain and tomatoes feel pain. Infants have a central nervous system. Still, experts believe that they do not feel pain. So all these arguments don't work, my friends. Okay? We have no way of knowing what apples actually feel or what bananas feel. This is living tissue we're talking about. Kohli are veg and we can get protein from veg, all that is fine. Hindus can You will get protein from veg, but you will have to eat enough protein. The amount of food that a cow eats from morning till night. How does a bull become bull like massive? By eating grass. But have you seen how much grass he has to eat to become that large? He has to graze from morning till night, nom, 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 eating, ruminating. So yeah, you can use veg vegetarian products to become large and massive and get enough protein, but you will have to eat ridiculous amounts of protein to do that. Sure, you can get protein from pulses, legumes, from your beans and dals and chanas and all the red kidney beans, but that comes with a truckload of carbohydrates. The cleanest way to get protein without any other BS is by eating meat. Now, the third question you're asking is, can Hindus eat beef that is not cow? Bulls. No. No. Cow, bull, same thing. Same species. You can't eat. It is what it is. I didn't make up the rules, right? You can't. You can eat buffalo if you want. Buffalo is not prohibited. Even though in my eyes, buffalo and cow are the same thing, but but yeah, technically buffalo is allowed. Right? So you can't eat cow or bull meat, but if you want meat that tastes exactly the same, I suppose, you can eat buffalo meat. That's fine. Or bison. If you go to North America, you don't want to eat hamburger with cow meat. Eat a bison burger. I suppose it'll taste the same as beef. It's almost the same thing, I suppose. Right. Okay. Okay. Rajat says, "How are you? I'm great. Thank you. I hope you're doing great as well." If a quantum particle is in superposition, two different places at the same time, before wave function collapse, will it curve ST at both positions? What's the ST? Um, a particle being in a superposition, does it mean it's actually in two places at the same time? And before wave function collapse, will it curve ST at both positions? See, let's understand this concept, okay? First of all, what is this wave function that you're talking about? What is the wave function? The wave function is a mathematical object. Okay? It's a mathematical object. It's not a real thing. It's a mathematical object. It has something, it has a density. What is this density? It is probability density. So let's say we're talking about an electron in a hydrogen atom. So this system is going to have a wave function. The electron is going to have a wave function. And if you plot the wave function, you'll get orbitals depending on what state it is in. Orbitals are essentially places, regions around the nucleus where there's a high probability of this thing being in existence. So your electron has a wave function, which is a bunch of probabilities in different points in space. Now, unless you make an observation, you have no idea where it is. So it could be in multiple places at the same time, potentially. That's what we mean by that. Okay, let's understand clearly what we mean by that. It doesn't necessarily mean it's in two places at the same time. It means there's a finite probability that could be here at the same time. But it may not be everywhere at the same time, potentially. Or maybe it could. We don't know. That's the point. That's the problem in quantum mechanics. So when we say a particle is in two places at the same time, it doesn't necessarily mean it actually is, but there is a chance it is. And we see this sort of effect in quantum mechanics, for example, in the double slit experiment. If you shoot a single electron at a double slit, it's a wall with two very small, thin slits in it. You shoot an electron, a single electron at that thing. The electron will pass through both slits at the same time. Not only that, it will interfere with itself like a wave. So that's the deal in quantum mechanics. You have wave-particle duality. So when we say particle is in two places at the same time, it doesn't necessarily mean it is exactly in two places at the same time. It may be, it may not be. We don't know, is the point. We don't know. We only know that there is a probability density. And when the wave function collapses, it happens when you make an observation. Then you know exactly where the particle is, which means the whole wave function of all these different probabilities has collapsed to just one place, one point in space. Not time, space. There's no time in quantum mechanics. There is time, but it's classical. So that's the deal. I don't know what ST is that. What do you mean by ST? Will it curve ST? Will it curve ST? So I'm not sure what curve ST. What do you mean by curve ST? Or curve space time? You mean by do you mean space time? Quantum mechanics does not work in curved space time. Quantum mechanics does not work in curved space time. Quantum mechanics works in flat space with time as an external classical parameter. There's no curvature of anything in quantum mechanics. You try to do that, you get a big mess. So no, not that. Okay. RTX Army says, Namaskar, Namaste. Your views and thoughts on Azurvedam. Azurvedam. What is an Azurvedam? Is it a medicine? Azurvedam. Let's find out what it is. Is it a medicine or some drug or something? Ezourvedam. What is this? Azurvedam. Azurvedam is a forgery consisting of certain Vedic materials translated by Jesuits with the intention of isolating elements most in harmony with Christianity. Rather than being an original Sanskrit work, the Azurvedam turned out to be a French text that was written by French Jesuits and meant to be translated into Sanskrit. A manuscript called Azurvedam was given to Voltaire in 1760 by Louis Laurent Federbe, Count of Modave. The text was in French and said to be a French translation of a Sanskrit original. Voltaire was enthusiastic about the work, had it copied and brought to the attention of others. However, by 1761, Voltaire regarded the text to be a mere commentary on the Vedas. Clearly, it was shallow and superficial. It was first published in 1778. The genuineness of the Azurvedam was questioned in 1782. The doubts were confirmed in 1822. Rather than an original Sanskrit work, the Azurvedam turned out to be a French text that was written by French Jesuits and meant to be translated into Sanskrit. Okay. So why did these clowns want to translate a French text into Sanskrit? Then they would claim that, you know what, the Sanskrit text is inferior and these Vedas are wrong. French Jesuits, troublemakers, thieves. Who are the Jesuits? The Jesuits are church scientists. They typically have formal training in the sciences. Okay? And their job is to travel the world, infiltrate cultures, show that you are very interested in the culture and you learn the languages and learn the texts and all, and then you steal whatever information is valuable from those cultures and bring it back to the Vatican. That's what Jesuits, their job was. Francis Xavier was a Jesuit. Francis Xavier. All right. So Malya Paul says, last week my question was muddled. You not got it. Okay. Modi in Europe makes sense how? Modi is not in Europe. Modi is in India. Okay. Let's read the whole thing. Modi in Europe makes sense how? EU is US vassal. Needs DC, Washington DC nod. Like North Korea is Chinese vassal. Masters control everything. Why meet servants when masters hold the leash? Okay. So you're saying that the EU is a bunch of American vassals, which is correct. Yes. Is correct. Yes. Is very good. So EU is US vassal. It needs DC nod. So why meet the servants when the masters hold the leash? That actually is a good question. So Mr. Modi did visit Europe and he went to multiple countries and so on. Why do that? I mean, we have done this India-Europe trade deal, right? At the beginning of this year. I think on Republic Day. When is Republic Day? 26th of January. Um, Republic Day, India, 26th of January. So the India EU trade deal, when is it supposed to be ratified by Europe? When is the India EU trade deal expected to be ratified by the EU? It was signed in January this year. The India EU free trade agreement is expected to be ratified by the EU and take effect in early 2027. So, following the conclusion of negotiations, the text is undergoing legal vetting and translation. The final deal will subsequently require formal approval from the Council of the EU and consent from the European Parliament. It's a long process, and the Americans can certainly throw a spanner into the works. Right? So, yeah, it's true that you are absolutely correct in saying that the US is the master of the EU. Everything the EU does needs a nod from Washington, D.C. Right? So why meet the servants when masters hold the leash? Well, maybe we can get some deal from the servants that the master will approve. So they have to go to the master for approval, not us. Right? So maybe it makes sense that way. You are right. The EU needs a nod from Washington, D.C. for everything. This free trade agreement that's been signed, the US can block it if it wants. There's already rumors that maybe the EU, the thing will not be ratified until late next year, which is very problematic and which could indicate that the US is trying to interfere and meddle and delay things. So the thing is, you go to Europe, you do whatever, then behind the scenes, they will have to take an approval from the US, but they have to do it, not us. It makes sense. And at least, even if we agree to 20 things, even if we get 5 of those, still that's progress that could be beneficial for India. So I think it still makes sense to do that, right? And many of the EU nations actually aren't happy being vassals. Yeah, many of these nations aren't happy being vassals. They are in no position to protest that or to change anything about the situation, but they aren't happy. One great example is France. They aren't happy. That's why India and France, when we negotiate and when we come to decisions, to agreements, the US often can't come in the way. So I think it still makes sense for India to engage with Europe. Sagnik Acharya says, anyone from Tier 3 college, read books, be hands-on. Yeah, absolutely. Not necessarily only Tier 3 colleges, Tier 2, Tier 1, wherever you are from, read books, gain knowledge that's separate from what you're taught in class. Be hands-on, try things, create something, break something, not big, break something small, experiment, try things, be hands-on, learn how to make things, learn how to create things. Yeah. All right. Good advice. Famous Georgian guy. I wonder who that is. Famous Georgian guy says, do you know that life expectancy in the Republic of Ingushetia is comparable to Denmark? Is it Deutschland? Denmark. Even though GDP per capita is comparable to India and having no industry. I have no idea about this. Let's find out. Republic of Ingushetia. First of all, where is that? Let's discover. Republic of Ingushetia. So, Kafkas. It's Kafkas. What do I mean by that? The Caucasus region. Okay? Here. Georgia, Russia, Chechnya, Grozny, Ingushetia. So that's where it is located. If you want to see on the map, okay, let's go and find it on the map. Give me a second. So we shall first locate this thing on the map, and then we shall look up the actual data. So if you look at the map, we have to go all the way here in the north of Georgia. Now we say Ingushetia. Ingushetia. Here we have it. Zoom out, and there we have it. Vladikavkaz is not in Ingushetia, but it's nearby. So this little place is the Republic of Ingushetia. Okay. It is north of Georgia. It's in the Caucasus region. Now let's look up the data. Give me a second, and we will ask Google, our friend Google, about the statistics. What is the life expectancy in the Republic of Ingushetia? It's 79.2 years. Okay, then what about in Denmark? So 79.2 for Ingushetia. Denmark is 81.8. Germany is 81. Okay, so okay, all right. And what is the GDP per capita? GDP per capita in the Republic of Ingushetia. Not English India. Ingushetia. It's it's like India. Well, it's like India. All right, interesting fact. Interesting. Okay. Piyush G says, again, one national level exams paper got rescheduled. How sad is it that we are not able to conduct exams properly? And still, some people claim we are a Vishwaguru. Those people who are talking about Vishwaguru are delusional. They are living in La La Land. What Vishwaguru? I think India should ban the word Vishwaguru for the next 25 years. Okay? Vishwaguru, what a cope it is. India has got one of the most rotten education systems in the world. I mean, what is happening? The rot seems to be very deep and very widespread. This is happening all the time. All the time. I mean, what's going on right now? It's ridiculous. And when people point out the problems, these people say that nothing's wrong. Then after 3-4 days, when everything is out in the open, they'll say, oh, we're looking into it. We have a committee of high-powered experts. No, it's a committee of high-powered clowns that you have. Bunch of incompetent, allegedly corrupt clowns that are running the show. Right? It's sad. It's sad. It's terrible. It's tragic for the students, isn't it? Horrible. Can you call yourself a civilized country when you have these things happening all the time? What is the government doing about this? I really wonder. Sad, tragic, horrific. Pradeep Kumar Roy says, your views about Rammstein, the band. Yeah. So I am overall not a big fan of super heavy metal, but the Rammstein is a good band. Yeah. Für frei. What else? Deutschland. A very weird music video they have on YouTube. Deutschland. Rammstein's Deutschland. In which Germania is an African origin lady, which is so weird once again. Yeah, overall, it's a reasonably good band. I don't mind listening to them once in a while, maybe one song at a time, but not a whole album, which will probably give me a ringing in the ears, I suppose. Okay. Sharma 108X says, is Advaita Vedanta superior to Western philosophy and the true essence of Hinduism? Don't know. I'm sure it's superior to Western philosophy. A lot of Western philosophy came into existence just a few centuries ago. Indian philosophy is thousands of years old. So any Indian philosophy, even if it is whatever, is going to be superior to Western philosophy. Wiser than Western philosophy. That's going to be there anyway. Is it the true essence of Hinduism? I don't know about that. The true essence of Hinduism is to be found in the Rig Veda. That's the original text. Okay? Read the Rig Veda. It's gonna make you uncomfortable. It's not. It's gonna. How many of you have actually read the Rig Veda? Even a few pages, even a translation. Yeah, try and do that. try and read the Rig Veda and try and live a Rig Vedic life. I promise you, you'll be based if you do that. Nick Dreams says, intro music to Ask Abhijit episodes are very good. Did you make it yourself? Um, no, I did not make it myself. Come on. I had it commissioned, so to say. R. Rajun Rajar says, why stopped summary of the week during Q&A? Usually those answers my questions and more. Because there's not much happening right now. In the past few episodes in which I did a weekly summary, at that time the Iran war was going on, right? Which is why it made sense to give a summary before I started taking questions, because I had no idea which direction the questions will go into. And maybe they'll skip what's really important. That's why I was doing these weekly summaries. So since the last episode, so and so has happened. That's what I was doing, because there was a very major pivotal conflict going on. Now there's no conflict. Trump knows he can't defeat Iran, so it's now meandering. So that's why I'm not doing the summaries anymore. Yeah, maybe I should do some kind of weekly recap show or something. That's a good idea. Maybe that may be in the works. We'll see about that. Abhishek Srivastav says, what was the 1871 Criminal Tribes Act? So I haven't read it, but it was about putting this tag of criminals on various communities in India, classifying certain communities as born criminals. That's what it was. Okay? Criminal Tribes Act. Yeah, that's a great question. Let's figure this out. 1871 Criminal Tribes Act. So the bloody British, the goddamned British, they decided that a bunch of people in India will be classified as born criminals. See, hereditary criminals. It branded entire nomadic, pastoral, and indigenous communities as hereditary criminals. By presuming criminality by birth, the act authorized the state to enforce mandatory registration, systematic surveillance, and forced settlements of millions of people. And then they said that Indians are discriminatory. So local governments could declare any tribe or class of people, class of persons, addicted to the systematic commission of non-bailable offences as a criminal tribe. So you had to register with local authorities, be fingerprinted, and notify the police of any movement or change in residence. Listed members were frequently confined or to designated settlements or required to report to police stations on a weekly basis. This also targeted the transgender or hijra community, allowing police to maintain registries of eunuchs, restrict their movement, and ban them from dressing in female clothes or dancing in public. Social stigma. So an estimated 13 million individuals across 127 communities were affected, subjecting them to severe social ostracization and state-sanctioned stigma. In many areas, children of the designated tribes were separated from their parents and placed into reformatory settlements. And the act was repealed in 1952, not in 1947. And the communities were denotified, but many continue to face socio-economic marginalization today as denotified tribes. So understand this. In 1871, the goddamned British occupiers of India, they designated a number of people, communities, as born criminals. And they said that anybody who associates with them will also face prosecution or persecution. So that had the effect of immediately essentially cancelling them from society. Because even other people who are not listed as criminals, they would then be worried that if I am friends with this person, will I also have to go to jail? Or my children go to school with so and so, the children of so and so people who are now born criminals. So maybe we should have them expelled from school, those kids. So it had the effect of socially ostracizing millions of people in India. And apparently they still face problems today. This is discrimination that was enacted judicially, legally by the British. Now think about this. Do you think the British were the only ones to do this? The Turks also did this. They also classified entire communities as essentially cancelled. And anybody in society who associated with those people would also face all kinds of persecution from the Turks. So that became part of your social societal fabric, that you cannot have social connections or interactions with so and so peoples. And that went on for centuries. And today it is said that Indians are discriminatory. Indian society for centuries was discriminatory. Do you understand how foreigners have ruined India's social fabric? Yeah, this is how it was done. So, a great example is this act, the 1871 Criminal Tribes Act, enacted by the British occupiers of India. Right, okay. R. Rajun Rajar says Akbar, Birbal, and Tenali Raman's similar stories are similar. Why? Maybe Akbar Birbal stole the stories. I have no idea. I have not read Tenali Raman. I have not read Akbar Birbal, so I can't really say. But it's possible that Akbar Birbal may have stolen those stories from Tenali Raman. It's possible. Piyush Ji says your views on Cockroach Janta Party. Again, same pattern as in Bangladesh and Nepal. Exploit the real problems of the students and fulfill their own agenda. Um, my what's my view on this Cockroach Janta Party? I think it's a nuisance. I think it's obviously a foreign creation. It's all the objective, like you say, is to exploit existing problems in India and to astroturf a movement. You know what is astroturfing? It's creating a fake movement, which looks like it is an actual grassroots movement. So, for example, let me give you an example. Okay, maybe we can think about past examples, hypothetical, completely examples. A new political movement, new political party emerges from nowhere, well organized, well funded, and they win elections. And 2 years ago, the political party did not even exist, and the leader was unknown. Has it ever happened in India? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. I'm just saying it's a completely theoretical example. Okay, if it's ever happened. So out of nowhere, a new political party or a movement it emerges, well organized, well funded, with a ready-made leader. That typically is an indication of a fake movement being created by foreign forces. Typically, okay, not always, I'm sure, but typically. I'm not sure if it's ever happened. If it's happened, maybe it's a coincidence, maybe not. We don't know. So typically, it's like that. That's how these foreign agencies they eventually um, you know do these color revolutions and whatnot. So it's very clear this is all foreign funded. It's not something that represents the people of India or the aspirations of the people of India. This is foreign interference in India's democracy and India's internal affairs. Rajat says, I had passion for physics, but my teachers made me feel like I'm the worst student since the Big Bang. How can I pursue my now as I am doing John now? How can I pursue my now as I am doing John now? So I don't know what is John. Jon Snow? I don't know. John? Who's John? Okay, so you had a passion for physics, but your teachers they beat it out of you, essentially. Yeah, teachers are a big problem in India. So how can I pursue this now? You can always pursue physics in your spare time. I'm not sure in what form, in what shape and form you want to pursue your passion for physics. You can stay in touch with what's happening in physics. You can, there are various YouTube channels. One great example is Sabina Hassenfelder, the German physicist lady. She has got a great channel. You can stay in touch with what's happening in the world of physics and new discoveries and so on by watching her. Or there are other channels as well. You can stay in touch using that. But if you actually want to do physics, that's a whole different matter. If you want to do physics seriously, then you will have to learn physics, which means you will learn mathematics. So it depends on what you want to achieve. Pursuing your passion, I'm not exactly sure what you mean by that. You can stay in touch by watching YouTube. But if you actually want to do physics, that's a whole different story. Then you have to study it seriously. All that stuff you have to consume multiple times. Okay. All right. Saurabh says, how did ancient Indian courts differ from modern ones? regarding trial speed, influence of rank or merit, and punishments for heinous crimes. I don't know. One way of finding out how it was done is by reading the Arthashastra. The Arthashastra is very clear about how these things should be done, um, how much time it should take for a court case to proceed. Typically, judgment was very quick, and the execution or implementation of the judgment was also very quick, right? See, the modern institutions are colonial institutions, and they have their objectives are colonial. Typically, I'm saying institutions. I'm not referring to any specific institution, but typically it's like that. So in the ancient days, for example, during the Mauryan Empire or the Gupta Empire, the Mauryan Empire we have some idea because we have the Arthashastra. Chanakya was, you could say, the founder of the Mauryan Empire. So the Arthashastra obviously is all about quick and straightforward judgments and implementation of the judgment. I'm not sure how the judiciary used to be during the Kushan era or the Gupta era or the Chola era. Not sure. We've lost the records. How was justice during the Maratha era? So I can tell you. See, I don't know the specifics. I can assure you the trial speed was very quick. Rank and merit, I'm not sure if it had influence. Right and wrong was very clear. And punishments for heinous crimes would be typically very quick and very permanent. Okay, Kirma Dahir says, hello, sir, long time follower. Thank you so much. Thank you very much. Allowing AI data centers in India, opinion. I think it's a great idea if it generates employment for India and generates revenue for India. If it does not, I think it's a bad idea. So what do AI data centers do? They essentially gigantic server farms, essentially, or memory farms where you store large, gigantic, massive amounts of data. That's what it is. Okay. So it's essentially a huge building full of machines, full of computers. Okay. And you need a tremendous amount of electricity to run these computers. And because these are computers that are running 24/7 and very powerful computers, they produce a lot of heat. So you need cooling systems, which again need water and electricity. And how many people will this employ? A few people. Not lots of people. So it generates very little employment. It consumes tremendous quantities of Indian energy, electricity, and it consumes a lot of water. So as long as we are storing Indian data in India, I think it makes a lot of sense. But storing foreign data in India, we're not getting access to the foreign data, but we are storing it in India. I don't think it's a fantastic idea. Not sure it is. Sayantan Banerjee says, I greatly admire Bose's courage and drive for industrialization, but reading details, he and other leaders at the time sacrificed our civilizational goals to modernize. Motto of INA, for instance. What's the motto of the INA? Is it in which language was the motto of the INA written? I wonder. Let's see. What was the motto of the Indian National Army? Ittihad, Itmad, or Qurbani? Ittihad, Itmad, or Qurbani. So that was the motto of the INA. This is obviously non-Indian language. I'm not sure Ittihad means what? Unity. Itmad means faith. Qurbani is a sacrifice. So this is either Persian or Arabic. Okay. Ittihad. So let's ask Google. What languages are these words in? What language are these words in? Hindustani. No. The Arabic roots. Arabic roots. So it's not really Indian. You can call it Hindustani, but it's actually Arabic. So why was that the motto of the INA? I suppose there would have been a lot of Muslim soldiers in the INA. Maybe that's the reason. Yeah. So the question is, if he had succeeded, would he have secularized India, or would he have made India's motto some Arabic motto? I'm not sure he would have done that. I'm not sure. Um, I'm not sure. But yeah, it's all speculation. It's all hypothetical. So the point you're raising is a valid point, right? The motto could have been in Sanskrit, but it was in Arabic, which is, well, interesting for sure. Okay, Dark Said Hail says, what exactly were Christians doing before Islam? Same violence and conquest? I need to explain this to my Christian girlfriend. Yeah, okay. You got a Christian girlfriend. Okay, good luck with that, sir. What what were the Christians doing before Islam? See, when does Islam arise? 700-ish AD, 600-ish AD? When is the birth of Islam? Some 1400 years ago, right? 600 AD or something. So let's say 600 AD. What were the Christians doing before Islam? They were trying to, they had already made Christianity the official state religion in Europe to a large extent, especially in the Roman Byzantine Empire. And it was done through tremendous amounts of violence. So if you want, it was all violence. How did Christianity become the dominant religion in Europe? The process started about 200, 300 AD. Probably before that. When was Hypatia killed? Let's find out. When was Hypatia of Alexandria murdered? 415 AD. Okay, so the violence and brutality with which Christianity took over Europe, it started about 200, 300 AD. And this lady, this mathematician, Hypatia, she was a female mathematician in Alexandria in Greece. She was torn to pieces because she was a polytheist. So Christianity became the dominant religion in Europe through a tremendous amount of violence. If you don't believe me, if you say I am talking out of a if you think if you think I'm just making up things, read this book, okay? The Darkening Age by Catherine Nixey. The Darkening Age by Catherine Nixey. Okay. This book here, as you can see, this is a Greek statue of a Greek goddess, probably, and see what's been done to her. Right? There you have it. So, how did Christianity become the predominant religion in Europe, in the Western world? So, you will see that the early Christians deliberately destroyed classical Greek and Roman cultures and contributed to the loss of classical knowledge. And this book is controversial for obvious reasons, right? But to know the specifics, I would highly recommend you read this book, The Darkening Age by Catherine Nixey, The Christian Destruction of the Classical World. Because Europe was a polytheistic part of Eurasia. So how did Christianity rise and become dominant? Through a tremendous amount of violence. After that, more violence. Two Dots says, how to pursue HPC career in India, year 3 undergraduate student. What's HPC? Let's find out. I don't know what HPC is. HPC. What is HPC? High performance computing. High performance computing uses supercomputers and clustered computing nodes to blah, blah, blah. Okay. So you want to get into high performance computing. Okay, HPC India. What do we have in India? HPC engineering. India. Do we have HPC engineering in India? I have no idea, sir. I really don't know about this field. High performance computing in India. Yeah, I don't know. Do we have universities that offer degrees in this, or do they offer education? Do you have master's degrees, bachelor's degrees in HPC? I have no idea. Maybe the IITs may have it. I don't know. I can look it up now and do some research, but I'm not sure how much I'll be able to tell you what you don't already know about this. So I don't know. You'll have to look into it, sir. I am not by any means an expert in this field. Okay, all the best. Kakashi says, where does it say that Hindus can't eat beef and why some do? I will highly recommend read the Rig Veda. In the Rig Veda, it says you can't eat. It says you can't kill cows and oxen, and you can't kill horses. No, it is you can't eat cows and oxen. You can't eat horses. Does the Rig Veda say you can't eat cows? Okay, this over here says it doesn't explicitly prohibit eating cows. The Rig Veda calls the cow agnya, mean not to be killed or injured. At least 17 verses venerate the cow as inviolable. And over here it says that Rig Veda says it can slaughter. Obviously, that's nonsense. Yeah. So overall, it's the Rig Veda is what you follow if you want to understand what you can and can't do. It's the oldest text. And obviously, these AI interpretations are not going to be absolutely correct. There's going to be some distortions that will enter them. So the best thing you can do if you really want to understand is read a translation of the Rig Veda in your own mother tongue, not in English, in your mother tongue. Or if you can read Sanskrit, read the original, which is very hard for most people to do. So I'd say read a translation of the Rig Veda into your mother tongue, Indian language. Then you will get what it's about. NVM says, I recently read a Canadian experiment where photons in a supercooled atomic cloud exhibiting negative excitation time. Could this suggest time is measured differently in the quantum realm? I'll have to see what it says. Okay, so let's see. Canadian experiment. Canadian experiments, photons in a supercooled atomic cloud exhibit negative excitation time. Let's see what this is about. Negative time exists, blah blah. Zalman something. So where's the actual physics? Where's the actual paper? Let's see this one. Is it this one? Experimental evidence that a photon can spend a negative amount of time in an atom cloud. Toronto. This seems to be the one. Abstract. When a pulse of light traverses a material, it incurs a time delay referred to as the group delay. Okay. Should the group delay experienced by photons be attributed to the time they spend as atomic excitations? However reasonable this connection may seem, it appears problematic when the frequency of the light is close to the atomic resonance, as the group delay becomes negative in this regime. To address this question, we use the cross-curve effect to probe the degree of atomic excitation caused by a resonant transmitted photon. By measuring the phase shift on a separate beam that's weak and off resonant, our results are consistent with the recent theoretical prediction that the mean excitation time caused by a transmitted photon, as measured by the time integral, etc., equals the group delay experienced by the light. Specifically, we measure. So these results suggest that negative values taken by times, such as the group delay, have more physical significance than has generally been appreciated. Okay. Look, I'll have to look into this in detail to see whether they make sense or they are full of hot air. But they are rather humbly saying that the results suggest that negative values of time have more physical significance than has generally been appreciated. I don't know. I'll have to look into this. I can't tell you right now just by reading the abstract. Yeah. Seems somewhat interesting. Well, I'll tell you something. I can create a cloud of purely gravitating particles. Okay. A toy model. Purely gravitating particles, a cloud of them, whole massive cloud of them, let's say n particles. And I could mathematically show you that this cloud has negative mass. I can do that. Give me 20 minutes, I'll do it for you right in front of you. But does it work? I'm not sure. So, yeah, it's a potentially interesting result that they have produced. But I'll have to look into it in detail to to see if it it's whether it's really interesting or not. So can't say just like that by reading the abstract. Ayush Tiwari says AI doomsday fears ignore two things. Human progress is emergent from billions coordinating over generations, not one mind. And AI is still constrained by energy, compute, infrastructure, and cooling. Yes, AI has those constraints, no question about that. Energy is a constraint. If you switch off the energy, electricity, all those servers, they go down, it's over. Compute, how much compute does it have, right? How much computing power are we giving the AI system? Infrastructure, obviously, all of that, right? The housing, the building, the cooling, all that. Yeah, so these are the constraints that AI, that AI faces. Hmm? Um, Now, what if we remove the constraints? What if we uh, put up massive server farms in orbit around the Earth where there is constant power? You can put them in a polar orbit or something. So there's no shortage of power ever. There's no night and day. They always receive sunlight. And you can have one side in darkness, so it's cooled. That's cooling. Or you can have whatever, you can solve the problem of cooling, I'm sure, in space. Right? So there is unlimited energy. There is cooling. You throw as much compute as you want at them. Yeah, let's say you solve the problem of compute. So these constraints can be solved. But right now, these constraints do exist. Right. So you can potentially engineer a doomsday scenario where AI becomes genuinely, I mean, let's say way more intelligent in certain ways than human beings can possibly be, and you solve the problems of the constraints that it faces. Then yeah, but that's still probably in the future. So right now we are not anywhere close to the doomsday scenario. That you are right. I agree with you. And human progress is emergent from billions coordinating over generations, not one mind. True that. But that's also a human weakness. And we typically don't coordinate. See, the progress doesn't come from the coordination of billions together. The progress comes from a few isolated geniuses, okay, who swim against the current. That's where progress comes from, actually. That's the truth. Human progress has not come from billions coordinating together and working together in going in the same direction. Human progress has always come by the work of a few isolated geniuses who have had to swim against the current. And when you have a system that actually, you know, treats geniuses well, that's where those societies overtake the others. That's how it goes. Now, let's say you create artificial geniuses, AI systems. Well, there you have it. There you have it. So right now we are not at the doomsday scenario, not close to it, but it can happen in the future. Achintya Mahajan says, "We all know that your education system is crap. We all know that your education system is crap. So what college students can do so that they think logically and genuinely be intelligent like you?" What can college students do so that they learn how to think logically? Intelligence. Look, I am intelligence is it's it's um, it's produced by a combination of multiple things. Nature and nurture both. So nurture is missing in India, obviously. Nurture is terrible. The ecology, environment, the education system is terrible. So nurture is missing. Nature is there. Indians are naturally intelligent people, right? So what can your standard college student do to be able to think logically? What you do is you look for information and knowledge and wisdom outside of your syllabus. If all you're going to read and study is what's in your syllabus, you're going to end up mentally lobotomized. So you have to be hungry for knowledge and wisdom that comes from outside of your syllabus. I think that's the one thing I did as a kid in my life. I despised the college textbooks and the school and college textbooks, the mediocrity that was inherent in those things. But that did not put me away from learning. I read a lot. I loved reading stuff from which was not in the syllabus. Maybe I wasted a lot of my time reading stuff that was not part of the syllabus, but clearly I did not. It helped me. So that's what you do. There's so much knowledge available today that was never available before. Most of the world's knowledge is now available online for free if you know where to look. So be hungry for knowledge and wisdom. Learn things. Don't allow the education system to put you off from learning. That's what you do. Learn. So when you learn, when you read like real great books, you will automatically over time start understanding how to think logically. Because those books will not have broken logic. They'll have clear, beautiful logic. Right? So the best wisdom is, you know, if you really want to be a high quality individual, you have to love reading. The best people, the most effective people in the world, the people who are the most impactful in the world, they typically love reading. So that's what you do. But you should read the masters, not the mediocres. That's what you do. All right, sir. All the best. Minimalist Maverick says for Modi to win votes for 2029, he has to finish Pakistan before 2029. Well, I hope he does that. Well, I hope he does that. Yeah. And we shall then all vote for Mr. Modi. Pradeep Kumar Roy says AI is incapable of true morality. To make AI work, society must be restructured into a surveillance state where human autonomy is stripped away. To eliminate edge cases that confuse algorithms, end goal of elites. I don't know what the end goal of elites is. AI obviously is incapable of true morality. AI will tell you what's right, what's wrong, and you should not do this, and this is good and all, but it's just a machine, right? It's just a machine. It's operating within guardrails. It's told, it's instructed. I mean, it's coached what you can say and what you can't say, right? So if you ask AI, is it okay to do so and so thing? It will say no, it's not okay. Which means it pretends to have morality, but it's just a poor little machine, not little huge machine or whatever. So you are right. It's incapable of true morality. To make AI work, society must be restructured into a surveillance state. Not necessarily. AI will work regardless of society being a surveillance state. You can have a dharmic state, and AI can work within that too. Of course, it will work within that. So to make AI work, society does not need to necessarily be restructured into a state, surveillance state where human autonomy is stripped away. Maybe it's the end goal of the deep state or the elites or whatever. Maybe that could be the end goal. But AI can work in a perfectly normal society as well. But maybe that's the end goal of the elites. Maybe that's true. It's possible that it's the end goal of the elites. If you want to control the world, you want a uniform robotic world where people can't think. Yeah, maybe it's the end goal. Perhaps, potentially. But AI can work in a society that's not a surveillance state with full human autonomy. AI can still work in that. Ayush Tiwari says, give us your thoughts about panspermia theory. Okay, what is panspermia theory? My thoughts, before I say what it is, my thoughts are, what do I think about it? I think it's a plausible explanation for the origin of life on Earth. Okay. Now, what is panspermia theory? So, look, our solar system is 4.6 billion years old. Our planet is about 4.5 billion years old. And the first unambiguous evidence of ancient life on our planet is about 3.77 billion years old. Stromatolites, unicellular organisms, our ancestors. Okay, so that's about 3.77 billion years old. And it is believed by biologists, by some biologists, by many biologists, that life arose spontaneously on Earth because of the combination of chemicals that were present on the planet, and heat and volcanic activity and lightning and all that. So if you take that cocktail of chemicals and you pass the electric current through it for weeks or whatever, you end up with amino acids and so on, which are the building blocks of proteins, which are the building blocks of life. And maybe that's how life emerged on our planet, just spontaneously through chemical reactions. How does that explain DNA? A shockingly complicated molecule, right? And we know, I mean, see, different species have different genomes, different sizes of genomes. And we know at what rate the size of DNA typically doubles. And if you extrapolate or interpolate that backwards, you'll find that the simplest DNA would have emerged when the universe was about maybe 3 billion years old, right? So we seem to have compressed that evolution into just 3.77 billion years instead of 10 billion years. So it so we don't quite know how DNA emerged on Earth. And such complex DNA makes no sense. It can't. So maybe the explanation is that the DNA came from elsewhere. Maybe there were asteroids or comets that contained DNA or life or the seeds of life, and maybe they crashed onto Earth and survived the crash, and that's how Earth was seeded with the beginnings of life. So maybe life came from outer space. Maybe our ancestral life came from outer space, did not just emerge on our planet. So that is panspermia theory, that maybe life, the seeds of life exist in outer space, in interstellar space. And maybe sometimes they encounter planets, and that's how planets are seeded with the seeds of life. I think it's a plausible theory. Plausible. Okay, Pradeep Kumar Roy says, Black Lady as Germania ruined the Deutschland video. Yes. I mean, that's a matter of interpretation. It's up to you to decide whether it ruined or not. I think it's curious because the Deutschland, Germany is a nation of European people. Historically, they had no African origin people there. So they're talking about the Rammstein video here, right? Yeah. So yeah, it was strange. I think I thought it was strange. Abhay Singh says Russia getting cooked right now. The terminal capacity is down by 40%. They've stopped gas imports already for 2 months. Exports. They're facing power issues. I wonder what Mr. Putin is up to. What Russia's tactics, strategies, long-term vision for the war are. They've taken a lot of they've absorbed a lot of damage, a lot of punishment from Ukraine, drone strikes and whatnot, and they've not really hit back too much. So I'm not sure what they're doing, but yeah, right now I can't really explain what they're up to. Can we? Abhay Singh says, can we progress in rare earth refinement without foreign help? Yes. Answer is yes. I read somewhere that without significant help from the US, Japan, and Australia, we won't succeed. No, not at all. We can do it without foreign help. See, what are these rare earths? These are not very rare, actually. Okay, they are found in reasonable abundance in India. These are certain elements: samarium, tellurium, blah 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 blah, neodymium, and so on. Pretty rare, but not that rare. They are found in reasonable quantities in India and other countries. India probably has the largest reserves, deposits of rare earths on the planet, probably. So what we need to do is we need to identify where these deposits exist. We have identified some of that at least. Then we need to extract that and then refine and purify that. And the process of refining and purifying, it is very polluting. And that's why nations like the US, they have been happy to import from China. But now they are facing this problem. So let me show you something. It's not that big of a deal. Myanmar does it. Myanmar, Burma, poor, strife-ridden Burma, it purifies and refines rare earths. Let me show you. Can we quickly find it? I wonder. So, let's see. Can we find it? I had, in one of the past videos, I had shown some mines in Burma. Okay, let's quickly see. Muse. Let's go into the satellite view. And let's zoom in. Will we find some rare earth processing somewhere? Where was it? Where was it? It was near the border with China. Let's zoom out again. Let's zoom out. Where was it? Where was it? Somewhere here, perhaps? Okay, I'll try and find it. If I can't find it in the next few minutes, I will give it up. But You will find rare earth refining happening in Burma. Okay, this is a patch of snow. That's fine. Okay, Singnai, etc. So I suppose I won't be able to find it right now, but you can, if you spend the time, you'll be able to find rare earth refining happening in Burma. Now, Burma is not the world's most advanced nation. It's a poor nation, a strife-torn nation, and they are able to extract and refine rare earths. So why can't India do it? India can also do it, right? Okay, Harshay says, have you watched the new horror movie Obsession? There's a movie called Obsession. I'm not aware of it. Let's see what it is. What is it? A movie called Obsession. So I haven't seen it. What is this movie? Obsession horror movie. Obsession. 8.2. That's pretty good rating. Inde Navarrete, Tommy, blah 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 blah. Megan Lawless, Michael Johnson. I don't know these people. I don't know the actors. But 8.2 is pretty good. So I haven't seen it. I am typically not a big fan of horror movies, but sounds like it's good. Yeah. Okay. Pradeep Kumar Roy says about Stargate narrative. Someone said data centers are like portals that will cause an AI apocalypse, and linked it to rapture, Bible reference, that will force the second coming of Christ or total human extinction. Yeah, I don't have any understanding of these things. Rapture and Bible and Christ and all. Yeah, I, I I don't know anything about these things. Connecting that with AI makes no sense. So people will say things. Okay, we don't need to take it seriously. But okay, data centers are portals. Right. Okay. So yeah, I know nothing about these things, and I don't take these claims seriously. Piyush G says we complain about the system, then compete to be a part of the system, and eventually become the system, and the cycle continues because people have no choice. Because the people have no choice. What you gonna do? Fight the system? The system will chew you up and spit you out. What will you do? That's the problem in India. It will not take the people to change the system in India. It will take leadership to change the system in India. The people can't do a thing. You keep complaining about CBSE, keep complaining, keep raging on social media. Nothing will change. Nothing will change. They'll say, okay, you are right. There was some problem. We have appointed a high-powered committee of experts. After a few days, it will go back to normal. Nothing will happen. There is alleged corruption everywhere. What will you do about it? You can either leave the country or deal with it, cope with it. That's the problem. The people can't change the system. The system can only be changed by having the right leadership in place. So when the people can't fight the system, they'll join the system. If you can't beat them, you join them. So people eventually give up and join. And then they say, since everyone's making money, I'll also make money. Screw it. That's what happens. That's the problem in India. Piyush Ji says, one, people talk about skills will get you jobs, skills. What skills can I develop other than the engineering field? I have passion to learn about history, but if I want a job, I have to take science. History won't give you a job. See, what does any nation need? A nation needs people who produce things that are valuable for society and for the nation. What does a historian produce? Nothing much. Maybe a book a year or something. The book is optional for the nation. I'm not saying it's useless. Of course, I don't say that. But you need people who produce something of value at scale. So if you want to be a valuable person in society for a nation, you have to develop the skills that will help you produce something at scale that society needs and the nation needs. And you can be passionate about other things as well. You can be passionate about music. You can be passionate about history. You can be passionate about painting. Do that in your spare time. Indulge your passions. But Develop skills that are valuable. That's what you do. Right? So I'm not saying give up your skills and give up your passions. You can indulge those passions and skills in your spare time. But those passions and skills, unless you are a very rare talent, will not really help you earn a livelihood. That's just a hard fact of life. Unless you're Pablo Picasso or unless you are Lata Mangeshkar, you won't have a career, right? A sustainable career. Or maybe things are changing now. Maybe you can be not at the level of Lata Mangeshkar and Picasso and still have perhaps a career. It depends, but most likely it'll be very tough. So that's why you need to have skills and you need to have a career that helps you produce things that are valuable for society. That's what you do. So what skills can you develop other than the engineering field? It depends on you, sir. I don't know you personally. What's your aptitude? What things are you good at? Okay, you love history, sure, that's good. But what are you good at apart from history? I mean, you can love history, but you are good at football, but you don't like football so much. There was this sports person, West Indies cricketer, Curtly Ambrose, one of the greatest bowlers of all time. But he was not a fan of cricket. He wanted to be a basketball player, but he happened to be good in something else. So pursue that. So that's what you do. Okay. Piyush G says, whatever people say, but this is the actual problem of students in India. Actual problem of students in India. I'll tell you what is the actual problem of students in India. You have only a few fields you can go into. Until recently, you could go into science or commerce. You could become a doctor or a lawyer or an engineer or a school teacher or a bureaucrat. There's only a few options for people in India, students in India. Right. And there's very few jobs. So you're forced to go into one of these fields. In a developed society, no matter what your skills are, you should be able to live a livelihood and be happy. Right? So in India, there are very few options, there are very few jobs. So there's a tremendous amount of competition for the little that's available. And there's a tremendous amount of rent seeking. That's the problem that students and people face in India. Suraj Goshpa says Liverpool versus United. Is there a match on? Let's see. Liverpool versus United. Is there a match? 3-2. When did this happen? I have no idea. When did it happen? There was Arsenal versus somebody, I think yesterday. I did not watch it. So, what's your question? Is there a match coming up, or are you asking which one I like better? I think both are good teams. Both were good teams, at least in the past. Okay. Perak Dureja says, is CIA ruling India as our PM is trained in ACYP? I have no idea. No idea. Sorry. Piyush Ji says, what impact can one child policy have on India? It'll destroy India. It'll bring down the birth rates dramatically. And as the birth rates come down, the average age of Indians will start rising. And in a few decades, India will be a person of elderly people. It will be a nation of elderly people. There'll be very few children born in India. It'll destroy the fabric of society. And long term, in 100 years, you will have no population, very little population. So it's bad. It's terrible if it's ever implemented. Should not be. Piyush Ji says Janasangh Party came out of nowhere. Won the elections, didn't solve any problem. After 2 years, gone, but the damage was done. The legendary Morarji Desai, Shanti Ka Messiah, ruined Raw's mission. The legend, Mr. Morarji Desai was an absolute legend. Absolute legend. Right? He did ruin Raw's mission allegedly in Pakistan. He allegedly called up Mr. Ziaul Haq and told him, you know what, we have Raw agents all over the place, allegedly. And that's how all those Raw agents, operatives were allegedly rounded up by the Pakistani establishment and dealt with, allegedly. Right. So interesting data point you have thrown up over here, Piyush. Very interesting. uh, Piyush says BJP formed out of the Jana Sangha. Then how it became super nationalistic when its predecessor was the full opposite? I have no idea. I know nothing about this. So can't answer the question. I don't know about the history of, yeah. Pradeep Kumar Roy says about Between Two Ages by Zbigniew Brzezinski. What is techno-Marxism? Brzezinski is this famous, very influential American foreign policy um, prophet. He did serve as the national security advisor of the US, if I'm not mistaken. Very influential guy. I have a few of his books here. Uh, Zbigniew Brzezinski. So he served as the national security advisor of the US, didn't he? And he is regarded. He is not regarded. He is okay. Here it is. Zbigniew Brzezinski. So he was the former. He served as the national security advisor of the United States during Jimmy Carter's tenure as president of the U.S. And Brzezinski is a foreign policy hawk, hardline. He advocates for a hard-nosed, hard-line American foreign policy, America first, that sort of thing. So that's about. So I've not read Between Two Ages by him. What's techno-Marxism? I wonder. I'm not really clear about that. Yeah. So what's techno-Marxism? Techno-Marxism. Zbigniew Brzezinski. So cyber Marxism adapts classical Marxist theories of labor and class struggle to the information age, analyzing how high-tech capital exploits digital labor and products and networks. Zbigniew Brzezinski was a leading geopolitical strategist who forecasted this digital reality, coining the term technocentric society, means of cyber production. So Marx, Marxist theories of labor and class struggle, uh, superposed upon technological societies, right? That sort of thing. Yeah, means of production and all that. Yeah, okay. Varinder Singh says Neanderthal Denisovan DNA 1 to 2%. We have any importa? Importa. What's an importa? Neanderthal Denisovan DNA. Totally different things. 1 to 2%. We have any importa? I'm not sure what you're asking. Are you asking about whether Indians have Neanderthal and Denisovan DNA? Indians probably have the least amount of Neanderthal DNA among non-African people. See, the average non-African person has about, I don't know, 2 to 4% Neanderthal DNA. Okay? Among Indians, it must be like 1 or 2%, maybe what you're saying. Denisovan DNA, it's rarer. It's found in Tibet. It's found in the Pacific Islands. Let's fact check what I'm saying out of the top of my head. Where is Denisovan DNA generally found geographically? So Tibet, like I said, yeah, Oceania and Southeast Asia. Oceania is the Pacific Islands. Island Southeast Asia is also Pacific Islands. East Asia, essentially Tibet, right? Tibet. There we have it. So there you have it. That is the Denisovan DNA. What about Neanderthal DNA? Neanderthal DNA generally found geographically, and in what proportions? So it's it's outside of Africa. I understand that. East Asia, South Asia, okay, 1 to 2%, 1.5 to 2%. Europe and the Americas, and so on and so forth. Okay. So this is throwing up a somewhat different picture from what I said. Whatever it is, I'm not sure what your question is, but that's kind of about Neanderthal and Denisovan DNA. The Denisovans are this extinct population of ancient humans that were a subspecies of Homo sapiens, clearly, because we were able to interbreed with them. And some humans, even today, have a little bit of Denisovan ancestry when it comes to Neanderthal ancestry. Lots of humans, mostly non-Africans, have Neanderthal ancestry. So Neanderthals were a subspecies of human beings. Well, there we have it. India, little bit here and there. Pradeep Kumar Roy says, "What is alchemy and sacred geometry?" I not part of my thing. I have no idea what is alchemy. Alchemy is okay. Isaac Newton was into alchemy, wasn't he? Alchemy was about turning lead into gold or something. The transmutation of elements through magic or something like that. I don't know what. So the transmutation of elements. You take lead and turn that into gold. Can you do it today? You can transmute elements using nuclear reactions. But that takes a tremendous amount of energy, and you need fissile or fertile material elements for that. Fertile elements and fissile elements. So alchemy was about transmuting elements, and Isaac Newton was obsessed with it for a large part of his life. Sacred geometry, yeah, I have no idea. No idea. Sorry. Ad Astra says, good evening to you. Could the India-Eurasia collision that formed the Himalayas have trapped significant fossil fuel crude oil reserves beneath India, thus making us self-sufficient? The possibility is there, but we have not looked for it. It's possible. See, if you go to the Himalayas, up there in the Himalayas, thousands of meters above sea level, you're going to find fish fossils. You're going to find shells, seashells up there. You're going to find it. Not hard to find if you go up there. I'm not saying climb Mount Everest. I'm saying go to Ladakh. Okay, that's what I mean by that. So it's possible that a significant amount of fossil fuel, etc., could have been trapped. So when the subcontinent came, see, let's say this is Eurasia, the subcontinent comes and collides, bam. So the collision happened in very slow motion over millions of years. And that's why you have saltwater lakes in the Himalayan region. For example, Rakshastal, which is right next to Mansarovar. It's a brackish or saltwater lake. Pangong Lake, it's saltwater. This is ancient saltwater from that ancient sea that was trapped and then pushed upwards. So it's possible that fossil fuels may have been trapped and so on when we could potentially discover them in India. But we haven't looked for these things. So we need to look for them. It's possible. NVM says, if position and state are probabilistic, in quantum mechanics, could time or duration be probabilistic too? No. Time is a classical parameter in quantum mechanics. The answer is straightforward no. Straightforward no. Straight away. Time is an external parameter in quantum mechanics. Position is an observable. State is an observable. Time is an external parameter. Time isn't quantized. Time isn't quantum. Time is classical. It comes from outside the system. So time is not probabilistic. Duration is not probabilistic in quantum mechanics. Ayush Tiwari says, which dark matter explanation do you currently find most convincing and why? Is dark energy a substance or a property of space-time? Second question first. Is dark energy a substance or a property of space-time? No answer. We don't have the answer. Dark energy seems to be this either it's a force or a fluid or a substance or something that is causing the expansion of the universe, and not just the expansion, the accelerating expansion of the universe. It makes about 70% of the mass energy of the universe, and we have no idea whatsoever what it is. At least dark matter, we have some speculation. Maybe it's a class of particles, or maybe something other. So dark energy, we don't know. I have no idea. Nobody has any idea whether it's a substance or a property of space-time. So that's dark energy. No answers at present. Zero. Super mysterious. Super mysterious. Dark matter. There are multiple explanations. Okay. One explanation is that there is that it's called MOND, MOND, modified Newtonian gravity. All you do is tweak the equations, and suddenly the effects that you thought were because of dark matter, they are explained. So one is, like I said, modified Newtonian gravity. Let's look it up. Modified Newtonian gravity. Yeah, well, yeah. Modifying Newton's law of gravity results in modified gravity, and yeah. So alternative gravitational theory, and yeah, it aims to explain the anomalous rotation speeds of stars and galaxies without really relying on the existence of invisible dark matter. So it could potentially be an explanation that of the galactic rotation curves and so on without needing exotic particles. So that's one explanation of dark matter. Another one is that dark matter could be, a class of particles. What kind of particles? Purely gravitating particles. Particles that interact only through the gravitational interaction. They don't have the electromagnetic interaction or the weak interaction, just gravity. That's, I think, makes sense. There is a sensible explanation. Maybe there's a class of particles like that. Maybe primordial black holes, if they don't decay fully and leave behind Planck scale remnants, they could be a fantastic explanation for dark matter. Maybe in that case, primordial black holes could form, stable quantum bound states. That is a plausible explanation. Maybe axions, maybe milli-charged dark matter. I think the cold dark matter thing makes sense. Even modified Newtonian gravity can make sense. Yeah. So I'm not sure which is the most convincing. Multiple explanations are reasonably convincing. Maybe dark matter is a combination of multiple things. Maybe you have purely gravitating particles. Maybe it's Planck scale remnants of black holes. Maybe it is quantum mechanical stable bound states of black holes. Would you like to see that? Stable bound states of primordial black holes. Dark matter and stable bound states of primordial black holes. Let me go here. IOP science. You apologize for the inconvenience. That's all right. Do I need to find B's now? Rotating 1, 2, 3, 4. Seriously? Go on. I will submit that now. Okay. So as you can see, this reject. So this could be an explanation. Okay. Stable bound states of primordial black holes. That could be an explanation. This research paper is from 2002, by the way. So, right now the we don't really know what is the answer, but there are multiple plausible explanations. Okay. Sugantha BVK says CM of a stat from foreign religion, deep state intervention. No comments. Look, this is domestic politics. I stay out of that. I stay out of it very strongly. Very strongly, I stay out of that. Very strongly. So, Piyush G says, a few days back, I asked a question to you about Indian judiciary. You said no comments. Why? But the judiciary guarantees our fundamental right to speech. Then why don't they don't take criticism of them? No comments. No comments. Why? Um, no comments. Look, I won't speak. I want to discuss the Indian judiciary. Okay, I don't want to face contempt of court. Okay, no one's gonna come and save me. Do you understand? Maybe it's fun and entertaining for you to hear me say things sometimes, but it's real and serious for me. Have I answered your question? I shall not comment about the Indian judiciary. All right. Dheeraj Kamath says, isn't someone who participated in the American Council of Young Political Leaders, ACYPL, in 1994 potentially compromised? I think it's a valid question. Are you pointing at somebody in particular? I don't know. So let's take this hypothetically. Hypothetically. Hypothetically, there is some American Council of Young Political Leaders, and someone participated in that. Now, if the Americans have a council of political leaders and they are cultivating leaders and they are bringing in people from other countries, maybe they are scouting for talent potentially. And maybe they want to invest in people who will then perhaps become leaders in their countries. Potentially, I think it's a valid question. Yes, is somebody who did this, who participated in this thing in whatever year, is that person potentially compromised? Potentially yes, but not necessarily. Not necessarily, but potentially yes, but not necessarily. Okay, here we go. Okay, Varinder Singh says, I got 2.08% Neanderthal and 0.22% Denisovan. Any importance? No, nothing, nothing extraordinary, nothing abnormal. So you got 2.08% Neanderthal. So if one of your parents, if one of your parents is Neanderthal, it's 50%. If one of your grandparents is Neanderthal, it's 25%. If one of your great grandparents, it's 12. Great 6. Great 3. Great. So it's like having a great grandparent who was Neanderthal, which is essentially negligible. Nothing unusual or abnormal about it. Denisovan, it's like having a distant ancestor who was Denisovan, 0.22%. Yeah, it's nothing unusual or abnormal. Yeah, it's normal, absolutely normal. Yeah. So you are obviously Indian, and being Indian, you got 0.22% Denisovan. That's interesting, but not unusual. It can be explained. See, Tibetan people have Denisovan ancestry a little bit, and Tibet is right next door. So over the years and centuries, maybe there was some interaction genetically, which brought in some Denisovan ancestry into the subcontinent, and maybe you got some of that. That's fine. Neanderthal, 2%. So it's like having a great grandparent. So once again, that's very small, and typically when the ancestry is that small, it's typically the beneficial genes that are passed on. So that makes us stronger. All right. Okay. Aries Manticore says, your take on government of India turning lignite coal into natural gas as an alternative to weaken external leverages held over India, especially Middle East, hoping we can do it like China. I think it's fantastic. So lignite is coal ore. It's naturally occurring coal which has to be turned into coal. So that's lignite. What you extract, the raw material that you extract out of the ground is called lignite. So we are working on turning that into natural gas. I think that's fantastic. We have large reserves of lignite, and if that can give us the natural gas that we need and make us less dependent on the Middle East and external providers, I think that is fantastic. Yeah, I think it's great. Outstanding. Pradeep Kumar Roy says about black and grey popes. I don't know, but let me find out. That's interesting. Black and grey popes. Black popes and grey popes. What on earth is that? So in the Catholic Church, Black Pope is a widely known nickname for the superior general of the Jesuits. And Grey Pope is a term stemming from fringe conspiracy theories. What is a Black Pope? The title refers to the head of the Society of Jesus, the Jesuits. It comes in the color of the standard black cassock priests wear, and a very influential blah blah blah. Grey Pope is not official. It's a term that features an unfounded popular conspiracy theories. In these urban legends, the Grey Pope is often framed as a shadowy puppet master figure who secretly controls the Vatican, pulling the strings of both the White Pope, the Pontiff, and the Black Pope. Okay, I have no idea, sir. No idea. But okay, interesting. Okay. NVM says, thank you for answering my question, sir, and raising our standards. Are you planning on bringing any courses like the history course, sir? Right now, no plans for any courses, but new stuff is going to come out in the next month, but not courses. And you're very welcome. Right. So new stuff is going to come out in this coming month, but not courses as such. Yeah. Would you like a Discord server finally? I've tried it twice, didn't work both times. But this time I'm doing it seriously and I'll actually be participating regularly. So would you all like a Discord server? A private group for all of us, no payment, okay? No payment, no BS like that. And in which I actually participate regularly instead of never being there. So I'm considering that seriously. That's one thing I'm considering, and some other stuff as well. Right? And yeah, if you become members, you will get something that some things that you may not get as just viewers. So that's something that could be coming up. We'll see. Okay. Okay. Rajesh Patel, thank you very much, sir. Rajesh Patel ji, thank you. Aries Manticore says, any mention of Qatar's leverage censor super chat? Well, that's interesting. Why is super chat censoring mentions of Qatar's leverage? And you have to say Middle Eastern leverage. Very interesting. Very interesting. Okay, interesting. Interesting. All right. So that brings me to the end of today's session. Generally, it takes 4 or 5 hours, but today it's over in less than 3 hours, probably because of the IPL, I suppose, but that's all right. All right. So, okay, people, thank you so much for the questions. We're going to end it here today, a little early. And I look forward to seeing you all in the next one, which obviously is going to be next week. Okay. So I'll see you next week in a few days. Until then, keep learning, keep asking questions, and keep raising your standards, whether I'm there with you or not, whether you're on Abhijit, Ask Abhijit or not. Keep learning and keep raising your standards. Dhruv Rawat says, you only take paid comments to read. Are Baba. Do you know when I started the Ask Abhijit show? It was in 2001. So 2021. For 4.5 years, I did not take super chats. I have answered thousands, maybe tens of thousands of questions without ever taking super chats. I have thousands of clips of questions in which I have not taken super chats. And then I decided to try it. And I found that the quality of the questions improves because people are paying money to ask questions. So the quality of the questions improves significantly. And yesterday I did a live stream in which I took questions that people had asked in the comments, no super chat. So please don't give me this BS that I only take, super chats. What nonsense. When every other YouTuber was doing super chats, I did for 4.5 years without taking ever super chats. So please don't give me this nonsense, okay? Maybe you're new to this channel or whatever, but that's not the case. And I will take super chats because I get better questions that way because people are actually putting some money. And if you want to know my opinions about other things, please watch my older videos. I've got thousands of clips on this channel in which I've answered every imaginable question. So I don't see what the problem is. Okay, with that note, let's end this live stream. All right? Okay. Take care, everyone. See you next week. Bye-bye.